Ms.
Okay.
Kelly, will we be recording this audio and video?
Yes,
Okay. All right, you ready?
I am.
The meeting will come to order. For public information, a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is posted in the back of the meeting room on the east wall. And we do have that copy updated now, and so it's the current one that we are needing to see if anyone needs to see it. We'll have roll call.
Harris,
Yes.
Knapper,
Here.
Meyer.
Yes.
What was that?
Yes. Here.
Reisig, Blue.
Yes. And we are expecting Commissioner Reisig shortly, got caught by construction and a train. We could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Register of Deeds have reviewed.
Right here is all. Okay,
From the other day. Assessment.
we need to approve the agenda and consider any modifications. This evening, the agenda, I believe, is simply budget workshop items. Anything concerning the budget might be discussed. And I think that's the only thing on the agenda, right, Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
Blue,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Knapper.
Yes.
All right, motion's carried. Again, want to remind everyone to speak into your microphones. So Kelly said it is being recorded, both audio and video. And I'm assuming the majority of people that will be here this evening is staff and commissioners. So we should know to speak up into the microphones the best we can. And are we still considering that our hope would be to go 7 o'clock or not later than 7 o'clock possibly this evening? Okay,
Not later than would be.
okay, that'd be the hope.
Yeah.
All right, just want to confirm what I thought the intention was. All right, so with that, Lisa, I guess we'll go to you first and let you tell us kind of how you want to do this.
Well, I kind of am seeking some direction from you all. Cindy gave me some budget adjustments and I've updated some information for Rob. So things haven't changed hugely from what I presented to you Monday night. But the fact that we're sitting at 18.9 million in tax ask. And I'm sorry, just making sure my numbers are jiving, and sometimes I'm looking and like, what the heck? Why is that not right? But anyway, we have so much in tax ask, and we are gonna need to carve some money down.
Okay.
I sent an email, and you were all included on my email regarding that you had initially asked for 2.5%. So if they went over the 2.5% mark, we need some explanation of why that is at that status, or you would probably be expecting some explanation. And in my one spreadsheet, there's a tax asking review column that would show the percentages over last year, but also remember that you gotta look at the expense difference too. And I guess after tonight's meeting, we can do some discussion and where people are standing. I can send you my Excel spreadsheet. You can look at what you want or tell me what you want printed, because I don't, it takes me a lot of time to print each page if I don't know that it's all that necessary. And I'm really focusing on property tax ask, not so much some of these other budgets that are grant funded or funded from other sources that you're not going to question. You aren't going to question how much 911 money we receive or how we've done the interlocal. We've kind of talked about a lot of that in other discussions. I would like to leave this meeting with, okay, here's some of the groups we want to talk to, and I can give them direct invitations, because I'm not sure, you know, kind of put it out there. If you want to defend your budget, you probably should come to meetings, but I'm not telling you everybody's going to be here all the time. Unless we directly say, we need you here. I asked for Tuesday night to be a court night to get the courthouse people here.
People.
Nobody's protested that. I did just get a call from Dave Eubank saying he wants to meet with me tomorrow to discuss his budget. Exactly what he's wanting to discuss, but I haven't heard from anybody saying Tuesday wasn't workable. I can also make some phone calls if I need. So that's where I kind of am at. Just give me the quick number and let's just get them all down to what we need, and we can just go home and get the next 4 meetings.
Well,
Just that easy.
yeah, you know, it's interesting that you mentioned that, and that's that, I guess Russ had talked to me, earlier this afternoon and said, kind of if we know that we're at, you're saying 18.9 is what, is being asked for from staff for, tax asking. And you know from our discussion on Monday night of, that we're only gonna be able to go to 14.9, probably maximum.
Probably. I think there is a way I might get a few more 100,000 out of that because we have some money pulled over. I was hoping to meet with Candace Meredith from NACO today, but she wasn't available till 3:30 and I was trying to get ready for this. I'll talk to her in the morning, but it's not gonna be $1 million. It's gonna be less than $1 million more.
Let's just start with that 14.9, just go back from that, back figure everything. We've gotta be within those boundaries. People are gonna have to go back and work.
If we-
There's nowhere else to go.
There isn't. We have a cap.
Cap, we got
Prior-
stand
Prior
cap.
years, it was a lid. Now it's a cap.
And so the, when we were talking about it the other night, that form right there, would you say that that increase was 5% or 5 point something percent when we took there were two different figures, and if we added those together, you come up with your 14.9.
Yes.
And so, actually, that was like 5%. Yeah, if I remember correctly, and
5.17.
yeah,
It is
5.17. And so that was,
That's where we're at. We carry forward from last year some unused authority, and it was like, that's what I didn't dump in here. They suggest you don't use it all, but it was like 700,000.
okay,
And then I can't. I gotta go place it in. It's gotta come. Did I get it? That takes you to 15.6. I just don't have that number with me exactly, so that could bring you up a bit. They said, don't use it all.
so
I apologize.
I was just looking at, and I don't have your exact numbers in front of me, but, I know that, you had referenced, Lisa, and we had talked a little bit about, trying to come up with, something with 2.5%. And 2.5 to me makes it 14.76 million approximately. These are all kind of approximate. But, if we look at 14.9 as being the goal to shoot for and no more than that,
What was the
then
number you said, 14?
0.76.
Okay, so we took the difference between those and applied that to the cash reserve. It can be applied to anything we need if we come short.
After the fact, yeah, we can decide. And I mean, again, the simpler process here to me is to ask them to come in for something less than the maximum.
Right.
Take the excess and, like you said, put it over into
We can split-
miscellaneous or capital improvements or whatever, and then we can always look at that as we start to finalize the budget numbers, if we need to plug in a little money somewhere. But,
We can spend 5 days here arguing about where they ought to be, but there's a fact remains, they need to 2.5% on, put some money into tax reserves.
well, that, to me, that
So-
number of 2.5%, 3%, that, if anyone's over that, that they need to go back and redo their numbers.
Yep.
The way I see it,
That's no
before they
need,
bring it to,
there's no need for us to sit here and do it with them.
before they even give it to us, in my opinion.
So that would mean for my own, I need to, and I'm saying before the change with the payroll
Right.
coordinator, that I either need to go part-time or my coworker needs to go part-time, or we need to reduce
I think you would
FTEs.
need to tell us, if you require me to do this, here's what would happen.
And
And I think we've already established, there's gonna be some of those departments, if you say 2.5% or 3% cut, there's nowhere to find 2 or 3% cut unless you lay somebody off. And you need personnel in order to run your department, so it's probably gonna be more effective with the larger budgets, rather than the small ones
Yeah.
that are down to zero anyway.
And it particularly hurts those people that are, that a lot of times 80 to 90% of their budget is personnel.
yes,
And those are the ones that it'll hurt the most. And, the other ones, if they're in other areas of the budget, particularly whatever other expenses, it might be easier to cut, but if the office is 80 to 90% personnel costs, then that's gonna be tough for some of them. But if we're talking, when we talked about a potential, COLA, what was it that we talked about?
3. I assume you talk, I don't,
We haven't
Recall.
really, I don't think that's nailed down, do you?
No, it's not nailed down by any means. We said potential.
Yeah.
And we tried to be real clear that that was only a idea. It was not something in stone. The, well, the only couple things that I would say here possibly, I know we have a couple staff people here. I'm just wondering if we should, allow us to go through their budgets, right quick because they're here, and then we could go back to talking about this bigger picture item of tax asking, and both of their budgets are gonna be, probably heavy tax asking. I haven't looked at them, but.
emergency management, yeah. I mean, only a portion of his budget is county tax asking.
Yeah,
It's a lot of shared costs. And Belinda's is pretty heavy on tax asking. Yeah, it's payroll.
okay.
And they're 20. You want Rob to go first? His will be,
That's fine. His might be simpler, huh?
I gave you a copy of what he. What's that?
Try to get my eyes used to looking at the screen.
Yeah.
My budget, from, last year to this year was extremely similar. The only thing that, my board asked that I add to it was a $10,000 training line and then put, $40,000, towards an EOC project. The discussion within the board, was to maybe, put that EOC over here in the old jail, since that space is kind of available. City of Scotts Bluff reached out to us after the first year and asked, they have the EOC, but they asked that it not be considered the primary EOC going forward. So that was kind of the thought. That
Is that still, because we haven't received any updates on any of that, Rob?
I haven't heard too much on it, but I know they gave me all the equipment that was in there, and that's down in the office right now.
So stuff has been actually removed from the Scotts
Yeah.
Bluff EOC?
Yeah, at least
Really?
the office supply stuff has been. So,
Okay.
the understanding I've had with them, since then is if we need it, actually need it, until we have something better in place, we can still use it, but it needs to be an actual need, an actual incident type of thing. But going forward, they wouldn't desire not to be the primary EOC any longer.
Did that ever make it to the full council, or was that just one or two people's decision to do that, Rob? Do you know?
I don't know for sure on
Okay.
that question. At least the city manager, was my understanding. But,
Okay.
I think since then it's softened a little bit. I know first of the year it was pretty gritty, but,
Mike, and I know you're involved there some, but do you guys know, I guess I'm kind of wondering what drove that and where that came from.
Well, it was one individual's idea initially, and it originated with a lack of confidence in some of the people that we sent over. They didn't feel that it was a good choice, so to speak. Plus, they are using that route more and more with their investigations and other things, trainings. And so it really boiled down to the city manager not wanting it and preferring we find a different location. So we investigated the old Aurora building, spot in the basement. And that looked like that was gonna happen, but then the school board met and they wanted to charge us $200 a day anytime we used it. Plus they want access to it whenever they wanted. And so our board said no.
where we ran into trouble with that is you just never know year to year whether you're gonna have a one-day activation. If we had a big incident, we might have the EOC activated for 9 months continuously, and that's impossible to budget.
Yeah, we
for.
could have
You
that
just don't know.
EOC activated for an extensive period of time and that just wouldn't work.
That-
Yeah, most of the time when we use the EOC, it's for a short time.
Yeah.
But it
Yes.
could be long.
Yeah, it just depending on an incident,
Now, so then let me be sure I understand. That EOC, room where I've been certainly a few times is different than the backup communications room over there, right?
Is that where we went when we were planning for Stormageddon? Is that the room you're talking about? Okay,
I
I
think
just-
so.
yeah, at the public safety building in Scotts Bluff.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
okay,
That should- that
thank
should-
you.
Yeah.
I just,
That bigger room there.
huh?
The reason I brought up whether it went to the full council, when that building was built, that room was built specifically as an emergency operating center.
Yes.
And I believe that there were some federal funds and there was some other money that was used to make it more fortified, all the things that were necessary. And I'm not sure the full council is aware of that.
I'm
to be
not
honest.
entirely sure either. I know, we'd had that discussion as well about, funding, or federal funding to help support that. And I think the conclusion among most folks was we were beyond the timeline where those requirements would have still stuck. A lot of those, once you clear 10 years, those requirements drop off. So it is something that I would like us to investigate a little bit, but I also don't want to put us sideways with the city of Scotts Bluff. in the
No, I
process.
understand.
So
I understand.
It's a tough thing. My understanding is, there is no desire to move the alternate dispatch out of there. That is still allowed to be there. That project just completed, so.
Those are two separate things.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the, my intent certainly is gonna be to talk to, the city manager the next time I see him. And, we meet once a month and we met 2 days ago and I happened to sit right beside him, but didn't know exactly at the time. I knew we had talked about all this. I didn't know exactly what was driving things, but I'm gonna have a private conversation with him at some point, and see where some of that's coming from. And if they simply are saying, we need the space, then I mean, that's probably as legitimate as concern as what, that they could come up with. And,
I do believe that is largely the case. I know, over the summer, trying to reserve that room for different trainings and stuff, it is getting harder and harder to get into.
And I work with them sometimes, and there's times that we have that room tied up for days and weeks, especially if there happens to be a homicide or something like that. It's tied up.
okay,
Um,
so, so the EOC, is part of emergency management,
yes,
not part of 911 and the 911 board technically.
they are two different, governing boards.
Okay. And,
Some of the members.
the
of same
EOC would be more funded by emergency management.
board. Correct, yes.
Okay.
And actually, I have. what's up? We
So
put a
I
little,
think-
I know you changed stuff and you cautioned us to touching it, so I don't want to be the one to break it. I remember that meeting.
Well, Rob, while she's doing that, if we had an emergency, where's the EOC now?
Right now, the plan is to use the room, it should be the one file on there. Would be to use the room outside of dispatch and then use mobile command to support that. Because it does have a alternate dispatch capability as well.
The basement conference.
Saved it.
Okay.
That's the EOC.
So that's the south of the dispatch area.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right between the service office.
Yeah,
It's pretty-
Yeah,
Pretty small.
between veterans and, yeah, that's what I was gonna
Very
say.
small.
It would be too small in some cases, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's really hard to work there.
The preliminary we looked at on there, this is one of the two configurations we came up with. We already have the radio room in there now. We have the ham room in there now. That's part of the reason it made sense to maybe bring this back to the county. It also would give us a space that's not really being used right now, would give us a space that we cannot get kicked out of and we don't have to ask permission for.
And this is over here.
Yes, sir.
You're
Yeah.
talking about in the old jail, in the basement?
Yep. This would be.
Well, no, it's the ground floor.
Ground floor.
Right here's where mobile command is parked right there.
Okay. All right.
And as part of this, we looked at, putting in a set of restrooms for the EOC, for, an office here, and an office here. Part of our thought with this was, I know the discussion passed. I could feel it. Part of the discussion I've heard in the past is the possibility in the future of maybe moving dispatch over there as well. And we thought if we started down this road, maybe adding in a pair of restrooms now, in the future, we could easily add on another set and then start with the offices for the dispatch staff going forward. Because it makes a lot of sense to have emergency management and dispatch very close together. And one thing I do want to throw in here right now is things are looking a little better at federal funding than they were when we were first working on this. In February, I did submit an investment justification under the 2025 Homeland Security Grant for $150,000 for this project. We've been waiting all summer for a notice of funding from FEMA, which we actually got last week on July 28th. In the 12 days or so since that NOFO was released, it has been amended 4 times. So we're still waiting to see what that looks like. But there is a possibility that might be able to secure full funding for this project outside the counties, which is my goal.
When you say this project, just the EOC or the full communication center?
The IGI submitted was for 150,000, so that would not cover all of the dispatch one, but could definitely make a step in that direction. That was part of the language I put in the IJ is just the desire to bring those two entities at least within operating distance of each other.
Looking at your dealing, why are we short 30,000 on revenue? You don't have any little towns collected yet? What's going on?
Which
Oh, because I didn't split it out. You're talking for the current year, I didn't go and have, this is the revenue, and this is the year fiscal year we just finished.
oh yes, yeah. In that number,
This number is all wrapped up into this number, and I should have dropped it down, and just to not take the time to get the information.
Just for everybody's awareness, the MPG award for 24-25 was just over $50,000. I just completed the fourth quarter billing on that grant. The other part of that notice of funding that came out on July 28th was the EMPG grant. We'd been operating, at the time I put this together, we were planning for not even having that grant. State of Nebraska told us Friday that the numbers that FEMA has given them so far are very comparable to this year. But until we actually see it, we don't know for sure. That's part of the reason in this one, instead of doing the 50,000 we got last year, I put it back to the 40 we got the year before, just to be conservative on it. 'Cause until we actually have it, it's still fluid. But that application is due from the state of Nebraska to FEMA on Monday. And they told us on last Friday that they plan on accepting that award. Even with the changes in that literature, the governor's office feels they can accept it.
So I'm trying to look here on revenue. And so, let me look on that revenue again. The federal grants says 40, well,
44
what we had before, 44.6. Then that next number of 46.9, you're saying is all of those communities, is that right, Lisa?
Yes, if I would have went and got a report from the treasurer, they could have told me who all paid. and
Okay.
I did
You
not
lumped
get
them
that
together.
done.
Yep.
And it just
Okay.
said one line.
And that's okay, and then what Russ is
We're
saying,
still 30,000 short.
We had
That-
budgeted 114,000,
right, so
and 91,000 is what was collected
But-
between.
but-
that 122 is what they spent the prior year. They had budgeted 114. And we got 91, so we're 20,000 short approximately. Is that right?
Close to the- Yeah.
And
you're
that,
right.
and most of that would be from the communities apparently.
Yes, and I have not done the interlocal billing for the fourth quarter yet. I have not had a chance the last
So
2 weeks.
we're not sure that they're all paid up in the.
The only one from the third quarter that hasn't paid so far is McGrew, and it was $36.50.
Okay. It's something to consider because, yeah, we're always the fourth quarter behind. But at the end of last fiscal year, we had collected between the EMPG grant and all the communities, we're at 122.
Yes.
Are we missing another quarter? Have we really gotten 4 quarters of expenses?
No, that fourth quarter I have not invoiced yet.
Right, but
And-
we should have had, but part of this fiscal year should have been fourth quarter from last year.
Yeah, it should match last year's.
And what happened?
And I just got the EMPG for fourth quarter, I think on Tuesday of this week, which was another 11,000.
I'm kind of in agreement with them, though it seems like maybe we miss a quarter. So you should be paid for fourth quarter 23-24 this year, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. And then you would be close to the 114 that we had budgeted last year. So right now, the county's burden for the previous fiscal year is 46,000. Where last year we thought it was gonna be
Those
or
numbers-
was it? All right, wait, guys. No, okay, sorry, and when I'm looking at, total expenses were 118,000. But we budgeted 138,000.
Because we had a stretch in there where actually our admin assistant line, we only used about a third of that last year. Because when Ashley was interim, she was coming under the director's line.
So that's where I'm confusing myself.
And then I went,
We're about $4,000.
Well, if you take, your revenue from 23-24 to 24-25, your grants and everything are within $300 or $3,000. There's still a $30,000 error.
Why, Russ?
Right here, let me just show you here.
Show me up here.
And I think you're comparing to the year before, yeah, the 23-24.
These numbers are, these numbers, that's all revenue. These numbers should be used.
No, well, when 122,000, but he only billed out 118. He only has to share out 118, so you're not gonna make more money. And 118 minus 91,000 is 27,000, and we had budgeted the county portion for 23. And it was actually 27.
This is what he's billed.
That's what he's billing out to the agencies, it's 118,000, where we had budgeted to bill them 138.
Where it says,
I'm looking at last year, then 139 and 118.
Well, 139, he meant 139, that was 23-24, and that's what every agency has to pay their portion.
Right.
This fiscal year we just finished, we had a total expenses out of this budget of 118,000, which is what, 20,000 less? That's what gets billed to everybody because we had differences in the fact that our salaries were $20,000 too. We only bill out what we've actually spent.
That shouldn't change your revenues. Your
Yes,
revenues
it does change your revenues. You only bill out what we spend. And we spend 118. And then Scotts Bluff pays 40% of it.
Of
We
the
pay
118.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
if you're doing.
Their percentages are based off that 118. Oh, is what you're saying.
I wasn't getting my mind around it.
I know, it
And-
takes a minute, obviously, I was going that wrong. So,
And then that down the second line from the bottom says net tax requirement. And that number is what we owe.
yes,
That's
the
our
county's
portion. And so that's really what the tax asking is. Would that be true?
Net tax requirement is what the line is called.
And it's the only tax asking portion of this from the county
Right.
that we have from general fund taxes. That line. And so,
We're 4,000 over. I will say that, because we had budgeted 23,574 last year.
Well, I'm looking at
We came down, we were 27.
when you're actually went 5,000 over on official salary, how was that? Did we lapse the salary?
No, because, for the month of, I believe it was September, the board decided to pay Ashley, the director's salary as well, as myself for that first month while I got onboarded. But that also meant we were not taking out of that part-time salary at the time.
Remember, we had Ashley Hopkins serving as the interim director, and they did serve at the same time.
but then now, and that's why it drops back to 75 this time.
Yes.
Nobody
Okay,
budgeted
but that's what it was.
wage.
No, actually, we went, backwards from what they were, or from what Tim had requested.
Yeah.
No, I've only been on for 11 months, so I didn't feel it's appropriate.
Now, You'd be due for a step increase.
But no,
Why did you get a big?
yeah, I mean, honestly, in the rest of the numbers, I felt at the end of the year, we were pretty close on, so I didn't see any need to adjust those. And if need be, we can go back and look at them and see if we need to cut them down a little bit. But, and of that 40,000, that was for the EOC. The other 10,000, we did budget in for training and exercise, or the creation of that line, because at the time, we did not have an idea what was gonna happen with Homeland Security funding going forward, and that funds a lot of our training and exercise. They did change the rules on our, the 2024 grant. It actually will expire next month instead of next August, which it was supposed to, but so far 24 is remaining stable, and then with this notice of funding that's been pushed out, I'm a lot more optimistic that we may not need that 10,000. So if that is something that if that needs to come off that, I think we can do it, so.
You guys, want to explain the mileage allowance?
Well, that was the other thing on there, is that was not utilized at all last year, and I don't
think we should buy fuel and pay mileage.
Yeah, I don't understand. Unfortunately, that was before my time. I don't know why that was in there, and that was something that I absolutely left in there, because if it needs to get cut, I can cut it.
You
Now-
gotta either take out the fuel or the mileage allowance.
Now, there, I'm assuming anyway that, well, you have an emergency management vehicle, meaning the big
We have a big-
rig
Yep,
and the pickup.
Yep,
And those would be the two, and like you said, if they're using our fuel over there, they
There's fuel
wouldn't get
budgeted.
mileage on top of that.
We
yep,
shouldn't
they
pay
can-
mileage on top of it, should we?
Right.
yeah.
Five hundred needs to go away.
Yeah, my understanding with that was that was built in where if the pickup was in use and somebody had to make an official trip, maybe that was why that was there. But I can't defend that because it wasn't, there wasn't a penny used last year, so if it needs to go, it can definitely go.
Last year, we had Tim driving the pickup all the time, and Ashley goes somewhere and she got paid mileage.
So well could have happened. The
Good-
other thing
good
I could
point.
see that happened, I don't know how we deal with it, other than maybe a credit card situation, but if we make a trip to Lincoln or Omaha for training or whatever the case is, you can't use our fuel down there. You gotta fuel up somehow. And either you're gonna have to pay fuel on a credit card or you're gonna have to pay some kind of mileage or something. But, you wouldn't be mileage, cause it'd still be our
You
vehicle.
got 3,000 in here for travel
It'd
expenses.
be fuel. It'd be making arrangements for
You
fuel.
got 3,000 here for travel expenses, isn't that fuel couldn't cover it, come out of travel expense?
Yeah, if you guys would like, I'm comfortable
You got-
cutting that 500 out,
I was
because it's,
travel expense and you have fuel.
Maybe you could use it,
Right.
we haven't used it for the last.
yeah, it doesn't, it has not been there for long, but I'm comfortable, because we didn't use a penny of it last year, so. I'm-
And then let me ask another question, or two questions here maybe. So, again, I forget this process sometimes, but does any of those, entities down at the bottom have to approve this, or it's all in our court?
Everybody, they were given this breakdown, and the board voted on it, and then everybody was taking it back to their individual boards, and I've had very little back from that process. Most of them are still ongoing.
And so they have the percentages
Yes,
broke down?
yep.
And I'm assuming we've done those percentages for a long time? Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's.
Now, are you saying that they also had the,
it's. I think that-
proposed bottom line number?
2020 is when the percentages came out.
Okay, and then are you saying for this year that they had the proposed budget and so that they would know what their numbers are for this year?
Yes, yeah. At
And
the
so
same
they've
time I
been-
submitted it to Lisa, I submitted it to all of those entities.
All right, so if the numbers went up substantially, we could have a problem. But as long as they're the same or lower, then.
Yeah,
So the only thing, the way I see it, there's a couple things that might be able to come out of his budget here, but to me, the fact of the matter is, as far as tax monies are concerned, tax asking monies, we're really simply talking about the one that says net tax requirement,
29.
which is the part, which is our portion, which I don't know what our percentage is, but
21-ish,
21%
wasn't it?
approximately.
24. Or 29, 23,000.
Cause the city of Gearing's 23 and theirs is, I can't tell what theirs is, but
and I mean,
it's about that.
our other possibility on that is if we eliminate that 50,000 in completely, that takes that, the county portion down to 19,327.
Right, and when we talk about that 50,000, we're actually talking again about our portion being about 20%. Let's see, 23%. I'm looking at Gearing's number, I'm looking at, which number is it?
21.9 is the county.
Okay, so yeah, you've got that. Okay, so of that 50,000, our portion is 21.
21% of that, so, yeah.
So
21%.
or $10,000.
Yeah.
Is what
Which
our
is pretty
portion is.
awesome to fix our, or
Yeah,
at least get started. Let's see if you get a grant for it, remember.
right.
Yeah, and that.
And the goal would still be to get the grant.
Yes,
If we
yeah.
can, then,
If we get that,
we
we won't
can-
use a penny of that 50.
Right.
So,
so yeah, technically, we're talking 50, but technically for us, it's only about 10,000.
So then any
Right.
carryover money, where does that go? Into our general fund, or does it get redivvied back up here?
Any carryover, well, it would stay in our general fund if he doesn't meet his budget, with the exception of this down here that we're talking 50,000, if they're helping to contribute to projects here, we would move it to a fund that's called special projects, that sheriff
For
uses,
emergency,
or setting aside. I mean, these agencies, other agencies or entities are paying
right.
towards this, they don't wanna use it in our general.
That's my point, is that there, it's only gonna be appropriate to put it off in a fund that's gonna be used by those entities. Or a project for them, or a reduction in
Or we
their,
just bill it out like
payments
we do
next
now.
time.
and stuff
Appears we
gets
had
spent.
23,000 carried back last year.
Or we
right?
just bill it out as it gets spent, like we are now.
You'll bill it out, and then as we get the money in, then we're gonna need to move
Yeah,
that somewhere
very true.
else, or else it's sitting in the general fund, and we're gonna get bootstrapped.
Take our 24-25 budgeted and take our actual, there's 23,000 difference, which carries back.
so the actual money that came from taxes last year was 27,009, is that correct?
Okay, I was looking at the 91.
Okay,
I'm just
so
looking at revenue, I'm looking at revenue.
That's, and so am I, that bottom number down there that says net tax requirement,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, we do. And then, we have, the official's request
Somebody took my.
going to 29,401.
You're on
So to
25,
me,
26.
What is that? Is that 1%? That's
You gotta
not
go back-
10%.
You gotta go over to 24-25. You're on 25-26.
Well, I'm under the yellow highlighted column which says official's request.
But their
Is that you,
request-
official?
The one,
That's what I
Well, I
thought.
mean, him official.
but you gotta go over to clear to the right-hand side, go to 24-25 to match the 24-25 expenditures.
That's what's going to my spreadsheet.
Well, that's what
Last
was
year's
budgeted.
That's right. Then you take out what actual was, there's 23,000 left over on the upper one, on the revenue.
Now say that again? I'm not,
Revenue, what was collected on money that came in here? Revenue.
I think what they're saying, actual money come in is this,
Well, that's,
for tax.
here's what the total revenue is.
And that came in from other entities.
Right, that's our, that's what I'm saying is, and we actually, here's what we budgeted, here's what we spent, we ended up with a net of 23,000 on that should have went into an account, right?
That's the tax that we budgeted last year.
But it goes back into the, to the
Goes into the
account to be
general,
used
that's
for,
right.
it goes back into the account to be used for
In their
all of,
account.
all of his.
Is that the tax ask because that's our
It
portion?
looks like it's generating a positive
That's
instead
what's
of a
present
negative.
property tax.
I guess the question might be here is that, so we know what the actual expenditures were. It's a little confusing to me exactly what our revenue was and what it maybe should have been. Meaning that we still have people that owe us some money.
Yes and no. I mean, you only bill out what you are going, what we have actually spent to
Okay.
the other entities. So last year, our revenues, we budgeted higher numbers, but we thought we were gonna spend 138,000 too. We didn't spend 138,000. And those revenue numbers also were the assumption that we were not gonna get the grant. So the budget numbers from each entity were higher because now they didn't have to pay as much because we did get a grant. I mean, the federal government was talking, they weren't going to pay EMPG grants.
The award actually went up, if I remember, at $3,000 from the year before, which surprised everyone, because we were told it was gonna be reduced. And we broke the $50,000 mark, which really surprised us.
They were splitting his budget according to the same percentages, assuming we were not gonna get a grant. It's safer to do that. And then in the end, we did get grant money, so they didn't have to pay out as much. Paid out 46,000 rather than 114, actually, that's quite a break. And our expenses are lower.
And so when is the day of reckoning? I mean, you don't know what you've actually, the expenses were for the, fiscal year until the end of June, yeah, so 1st of July. And are you saying then that you have a reckoning billing out period that,
Every quarter he bills.
Yes.
I understand, but you're billing for, are you billing a year in arrears? based
No,
upon
no,
those
we-
expenses?
We built,
In this case, I've been busy, so the year ended in June, so I've not gotten the fourth quarter of last fiscal year billed yet. That was my project for this week, but this
But
week
it
has
wasn't
been-
until the end of June that you knew exactly what you spent.
but he's been billing it every quarter as he has spent.
Yep.
He didn't wait for the end.
So he's been billing as he spent, not expected, not budgeted numbers.
Correct.
He billed for the actual numbers spent. So you're basically reconciling that every single quarter
Yes.
when you send the bill. Okay,
His, whatever July payment would have been in fourth quarter previous year, quarters 1, 2, and 3. Now, this year's fourth quarter, the portion of the 118, he needs to get billed out.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I think I understand that.
Unfortunately, last week, that was my plan, and I was not planning on doing an EMPG application with 6 days' notice.
All right, so I think I understand that portion.
Yep.
So let me ask again. Under actual expenditures column, which down at the bottom would be actual net tax requirement or taxes that came from the county was 27,000. That'd be true.
I believe so.
That's the money from the county that you got for the year was 27,000.
And you're budgeting 23. Is that correct?
Yeah, for this coming year.
Last year we budgeted. Yeah, the spreadsheets you gotta keep in your mind.
Yes,
The tax
you're right.
ask is in the middle.
Okay,
Budget numbers are off to the right, actuals are off to the
I just need to look up ahead before I do
Yes.
this.
Yeah, sorry, I know that's
No, no,
confusing.
you're all right. My fault.
And some of and then as we look at that, so I'm looking at that net tax requirement line item down there that we had 27, but the year prior to that, we had 17, and the year prior to that, we didn't have, we were negative.
Yeah,
Now, how's that?
I have to go back.
My understanding with the year that was negative was they were estimating that the EMPG award was going to be the same it was the year before, and it dropped. And that's when they started last year about doing budgeting without even factoring in that grant. But that's what Ashley told me anyway.
Came in like we got more money in than we did, and it's all based on what happened in the fourth quarter of the year. We'd have to do some analysis to see what was billed out by quarter and why more money appears to be there. I wish I had a good answer for that. And yeah, they had quite a bit. And you know, there was one year where Treasurer's Office was dumping some federal grant money into the wrong buckets. We had more federal money there when it should have been like, who else gets federal money? HIDA. And HIDA gets federal grant money. Right.
Because we look at that federal grant money was 74 and then dropped to 44.
Yeah, it seems it's exceptionally high.
Yeah, because I believe this year was the largest EMPG award we've had in a long time, at just over 50. So I think there is an error
So
to
there may have
that.
been an error
There might have
there.
been an error there, 'cause yeah, look at the years before, I can pull up more information, 33, 35, 74, I think we put some, this is about the time Tim Newman came to work here. And we started getting the EMPG money here rather than the city of Scotts Bluff managing this. And I might have, I would have thought I fixed my spreadsheets back then, but I think that's gonna be your reason. And just refining the process through the years.
But all of that should be cleared up by now as far as what the city of Scotts Bluff got and what the county had during all that transition stuff?
All right, so as I look at it, if we're talking about that we received 27 last time, and this year, the yellow highlighted column is 29, then that's only, that's not, is that 10% or is that 1%? $2,000.
That would be 10%. $2,000.
All right, and so the percentage increase seems high. The dollar increase is minimal in my opinion.
Well, exactly, and that's what my spreadsheet that you have would show, $6,000 or $5,000 in tax ask difference, but it's gonna be like a 10%.
Right.
Can I ask some-
So that's,
Probably answered this 3 times.
Oh,
Where-
it's okay.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, 24,
Where did,
25.
where did this 50,000, what did that come out of?
Where did the 50,000 that we're talking?
Yeah, where
Here?
did that transfer?
It didn't transfer anywhere. We're talking that everybody's gonna help us.
Build that.
Yes.
build that
Yes,
50,000.
they're going to pay a portion of that to us, that we're gonna put aside, or we're gonna start paying for lumber or whatever. Chance that we don't, our true hope is that we get a grant that'll pay for it, we don't need it.
Right.
But we're budgeting out there and they've agreed to participate.
Right.
and
And
our
our
portion
actual,
that
our actual portion would be around 10,000.
10,000.
Of those two, but 40,000 is the actual building of this place.
Right.
You
10
put
is
in
training.
10,000 for training,
Training.
if feds or whoever agencies
Yeah,
will
if,
bring
if
training.
Homeland Security doesn't do what they've been funding.
But that, that 50,000 has been considered into the, what we're gonna ask in the revenue side.
Right.
Right. So the worst case scenario is, we do pay for it through all of the entities, and the county's portion is 10,000.
Right.
But that's in these numbers.
It's in these numbers. County's portion's a little less than that because we're talking 40,000, so do your 8,000.
Yeah, the 40,000 times the
Just to make
20,
it more
We still gotta get
21%.
50 though.
So that's 8,000.
Yeah, my total 185,930, follow me here. I have down here, 185,930, assuming we get a grant of around 40,000. Banner County portion is calculated different than anybody else. Take all of that out. Our base number is 134,255. Scotts Bluff's 40% is based on this 134,255. Here's all the percentages.
So that 40,000 is taken out, meaning that
The
we're
40,000
only,
The 40,000 is the grant
right?
from EMPG.
Okay, so we're not spending that unless we get it.
Okay, let me
As a
clarify
grant.
that. When we say EMPG, that's to have an emergency manager. That's what the grant we get to
Yep.
pay for Rob. This other grant we're talking he's applying
Right.
for would go here.
Right. No,
But another 40,000 is being dedicated to the building if we need it.
and that 40,000 you're talking about is for the building.
No,
That 40,000 is to have a Rob.
yeah, that's, they're two different grant lines.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're just guessing at that $40,000 mark because we don't know what the feds are gonna actually award. All we can do is take the numbers they gave to NEMA and NEMA gave to me on Friday is that it should be comparable to this year, which ended up being 50,000, but I won't wanna aim lower in the event that doesn't happen.
And that's this line item?
That's this line of federal grants at
Right.
50%. EMPG is for an emergency management personnel.
Yep, it's the Emergency Management Performance Grant.
Well,
Clear as mud.
yeah,
This
this one is
There's a lot of,
convoluted.
There's, we're over what we're seeing.
So our asking, yeah, we're
Looking at 5.
tax asking at their high percentage, but we're talking $2,000. So
Right.
dollar wise, it's minimal
Minimal, but it's still over what?
percentage.
Yeah.
That could be adjusted just in these three little items here.
24.72 is the percentage change. You're right, it is higher, but it's $5,000.
Hey, that-
But you get help. If I'm looking at my first spreadsheet, my tax asking has increased from 23,000 last year to 29,000 this year. It has increased by 5,827, which is a 24.72% jump. But you keep it there, you're getting help with your building.
Right, and to me, it's the actual, the line item, actual expenditures, or actual, what we got was 27,000. Compared to 29 is how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at actual last year, but I'm talking budget to budget, and we're talking what this 14.8 million is all what we budgeted. And then we go back and look at how did that work out?
Well, I know we've spent a lot of time here on this one, but, to me, if it's a $2,000 increase, I'm okay with that.
And you're getting how much benefit that helps us. And fixing a building is huge, I think, but
The
But it
thing
is-
is, we need it. Need it,
The EOC.
yes.
Well, I agree that, having a place to meet when you have an emergency that's sufficient size to, and, the unfortunate part is that, well, I mean, at the very least, then you also need some audio visual equipment in there too, that this doesn't probably figure.
Yeah, no, but really, in this initial one, we're looking at trying to get walls up
Just
to get
the
a
building.
usable space.
Right.
We could,
Then after that, they may have to consider some more, but.
Yeah. and the caveat to all that is, in that $150,000 I put into FEMA for that, I mean,
Right.
that would cover hardware, cover walls, cover everything.
So if
is
they
there
could help.
other things that would limit this? I think Ken had mentioned to me one, the city of Scotts Bluff building had very specific parameters of what this community space had to have, the walls, and stuff, right? Is there that would be a barrier?
Yeah, that's the sad part in all this. When they built that building, they sold it to the taxpayers of the city of Scotts Bluff with that in mind, that we're going to have this EOC and it's going to be state of the art and all this kind of stuff. Now all of a sudden,
Yep.
we don't. And that, I'm a taxpayer in the city of Scotts Bluff. That bothers me a lot.
Absolutely.
And most of these
Bothers me a
people
lot.
probably weren't at that meeting, you were,
I inspected the building while it was being built.
For sure. So you've been.
So I know with all the advertising, all the things they were doing to tear down all that old fire station and all that stuff to build a brand new building,
They were,
that was gonna be part of it.
yeah.
That was one of the promises, that we're going to have this state-of-the-art EOC.
Now it's not you.
Well, now because, now because one person decided they don't want us in there. That's what the whole problem is here. And that's why I asked whether the whole city council is aware of what's going on, because that could change.
It
That
could.
could
We were
change.
hoping that over the course,
Yeah.
when this really came to head was after September, October, November, we were hoping things were gonna get a little bit better on it.
And I don't know, has anybody pushed it, or are we just
We
sitting back and
haven't,
allowing? it?
because I tried to not activate an EOC like Tim did.
Yeah,
Because as soon as you activate it, you're pulling people away from their jobs, and you gotta be accountable for that. So,
Yeah.
Somebody's
Did you
dropping.
contact anyone, Ken, that you'd know at the city council?
yeah, I can talk to Kevin too. That's not a problem.
Yeah, you ought to do that.
Yeah,
Right, and you could.
I plan on it.
We both could.
Yeah.
I know there's also been some concerns. I know Mike brought it up about having all your eggs in one basket, having everything in one spot in the event.
Well, that's true.
That's the thing I could never figure out when they built that. It's time they built that. Homeland Security says, don't put all your eggs in one basket. They did the same thing in North Platte. And so if you were to have a domestic terrorist attack on Scotts Bluff, one target, we're done. Same way in North Platte. All the other big cities, when they built their things, fire and EMS is over here, police is over here, so that you're not gonna lose your assets in one strike. And I don't know why they did it that way. I thought they were crazy.
Listen,
Well-
our building, as far as we know, should be,
Uh,
we'll learn.
Yeah,
Well,
I
To
mean,
the extent that it was a jail means it was fortified a little bit,
yeah, it meets all
probably
the,
not to the standards.
no, it
that-
meets all the
but-
storm shelter requirements. And I mean, if we had to adjust the back end to make it ADA accessible, that type of stuff. I mean, the plan, when we drew out the back restrooms were to make sure those were ADA. And obviously, if Cindy's folks ever go over there, they're gonna have that type of
Could
access
this
as
money
well.
be used for the relocation of the comm center?
That 150,000, that was part of the plan with that if it came through. And if you,
The EOC was part of that, and then the rest was comm center, correct?
yeah, if we could beef up some of the infrastructure inside, even if that wasn't tied, directly to the comm center in the application, but I mean, if we needed to build 2 sets of bathrooms or whatever, that was all within that. Sure. So,
And I'll just tell you that I'm buying into the EOC, okay? I haven't fully bought into the comm center yet, but I'm buying into the EOC.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm okay with that. And I would just tell you here, I'm okay with the $2,000 increase. Even though the percentage seems high, it's minimal in dollars. And if that's what we're talking about here, and I think it is, I'm okay with that.
We are trying to, you,
yeah. Well, and honestly, I
But,
mean, that
and
$2,000.
aren't you saying that that's what you think this is? $2,000 higher tax asking,
Yeah, and
I said it was more like 6, Mark, from last year.
and
Tax asking, not to actual.
Okay.
I'm only looking at the budgets.
I'm comparing actual to official's request.
You're looking at those.
We have to change those numbers to actual.
and like you said, that travel, that mileage allowance, I'm fine cutting that 500 out of there.
You could,
So,
you could go
you
through
could
this
still
whole
do
thing
that.
and find $2,000 in a heartbeat.
But
Probably.
don't you like, if it's fuel, what's wrong with having it on a fuel line?
Yeah,
And instead of dropping it to the travel, take 500 off the travel expenses, because that could
yeah,
be your
I'm-
lodging, or
I'm-
is there a
I'm like
lodging
you.
line too?
It's 2,000 is, I
I mean,
don't think
why
it's
can't
that.
we call it what it is?
We taking it out or put it
There's
somewhere else?
2,500 in fuel, whether you buy the fuel here or you buy it in Omaha, it's the same fuel, still got money for fuel, it's all here.
Drop it here.
You need another podium.
Then well, to me,
That's why I like the table.
we're talking a minimal amount of tax asking money. And to that extent, I'm okay with it.
And it's for safety emergency. It's not like it's the community good. You're fine. I just,
And again, all these expenses are being shared, and our portion of it's 20% or 21%.
Well, it's more than that, Mark.
It's
The actual
no
last year,
community
the ask was 23,000, it's 29,000.
Well, that's what Lisa said.
Huh?
That's from
using all
budget,
that.
Oh, never.
but we
It was a
actually
good
got
idea as a
27,
Layperson.
and I'm
doesn't
comparing
know budget.
27 to 29.
29.
You're comparing 23 to 29. So, yeah. But all I'm saying is, we budgeted for 23 in revenue, but we actually got 27.
Well, they actually spent, budget 23 last year, spent 27.
Steve,
Received
Revenue.
revenue.
I'm looking
No,
at
that's
tax
the-
requirement, I'm looking at tax requirement.
No.
That was our side. It wasn't revenue coming in. 27 is what the county was responsible.
What we spent was 27 on action.
Yeah.
What we asked for is 23. We spent 4,000 more than we asked for.
We'd have to deep dive into why that happened.
We were probably 10,000 under in the part-time position. Position was open for 4 months.
That's. It's yours. It's your gal to look that up.
It's all in the notebook.
All right, what else you guys have for Rob?
Taking the 500 off, what I just heard you say.
It took, I put it in travel. You want it gone?
It should be
Oh,
gone,
no.
take it all, you got enough in there, he hasn't even spent, that line item, that 2,500 hasn't even been spent. Fuel should be coming down.
Yeah, say this last year I tried to use, pet projects through the region to pay for as many of those travel expenses as I could. Just take that off the county. The only thing that they won't, reimburse on that is the fuel with the government vehicle. Lodging and food is all reimbursed. And the food's actually at a per diem rate versus the hourly rate, so we usually make a little bit extra on that.
Can I keep this for tonight?
Oh,
Those
yeah,
things that
yeah,
we
there's
do?
nothing on it, so, yeah. Have that.
I keep finding problems.
Seriously.
Don't use it. I think that's something, I think that's what they did. Did you guys have anything else for me? Questions, comments, concerns?
Thank you, Rob.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks for your help.
You bet. I apologize if it's clear, but
He's been here almost a year and it's still.
It's a little,
wherever you have
confusing.
federal money involved.
The problem is you get promised and it doesn't come through for whatever reason, and you're waiting for an answer, and you still have to operate.
So we're gonna do communications then, Lisa?
I say are you up for that?
Well, I think so. I see hers is quite a bit more stuff, but I think we are.
There we go. Yeah. All right, so Linda. You got the work papers up there, I believe. All right. I'm gonna back off.
You stood up here with him.
I could.
Yeah.
Bring us up to speed. I guess I wanted her to come today, because we know there's some things, there's been some changes. I mean, Linda came in January. So Linda came in January, and since then, she's been dedicated to, we've had some people, some attrition, people leaving, and dedicated to get people in and trained appropriately. And we have lost, 3-4 dispatchers that were long-term people. Six.
Since when?
One right before I took over. And then since
Lover.
then, well, 2 right before I took over. And then since then, we've lost 4 more.
This department had a union contract that was 10-hour shifts in a 24-hour day. And I can tell you historically, these 10-hour shifts, I mean, they would bid on them, and your people who had been there years and years had the Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4. Pretty nice. Your new people coming on would work every weekend. And that's when we have had a lot of problem keeping people in the role in the comm center. And when Cindy started losing some people, because training takes a long time, she made the executive decision. I mean, I was supportive of her. I believe Ken was supportive of her. We moved from those 10-hour shifts to 12-hour shifts. So much easier to accommodate keeping this place manned, because so many people were already working overtime to keep up, and
Yeah,
you
everybody
had
was
people
already
coming
working
in
12.
and going. What?
They were already working
They were
12-hour
already working,
shifts.
so we put 12-hour shifts in. So no more of the Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 shifts. I mean, or 8 to 6, whatever, I
Yeah.
guess I'm saying. And that was not a people pleaser for the ones that have, I mean, and reasonably so. I mean, when you've been here and you're tenured and like, I've earned my way up, exactly. But we can't keep people in the position, and then we've got a problem. So that was one of the things she's done. And now we're down, Person had health issues that he just said he couldn't stay working the 12-hour shifts and had problems staying awake at night, right? And just
Mm,
lot of concerns. And anyway, we're just at a point where we're rolling people out of training now, trying to work with a short staff. We're in a bind for a period of time till we get everything in the right place. But I can tell you, I know I've heard from 2 people. Mike Blue's heard from at least 2 people of improvements that are happening down there. Things are being called out correctly. They're following policy. Am I right? I
Right.
mean, and my 2 people.
I expect you all to hold me accountable, and I'm gonna hold them accountable.
So
I mean,
Tom Shingle and help me, Sean Baumgartner are the ones
Yeah,
we're hearing
Sean.
from. So he's director of the ambulance and obviously the fire chief in Scotts Bluff. We could probably get some others that would tell you the same thing. So I want to continue to be supportive of Cindy, but we're in a situation that we got to work through together. So she's prepared you the best budget she can.
well, and a lot of it is based on this, which is the
Oh.
projected,
Oh, wage, we have wages.
the wage comparison that has not been presented to you all yet. And that
It's plugged into these numbers.
it is plugged into these numbers, and it makes it look like I have a huge jump. Which I do have a huge jump, but the majority is the wage comparison. I didn't add anything I initially had, and I took it back out today, because I was requesting, 100,000 to start building, for capital, to hopefully be able to move the comm center. And so that's not something that the 911 board will assist with. And so I had put that in, but then I went back and took that out today, trying to help my numbers, trying to come down reasonable. Everything else is basically staying the same. I did add a miscellaneous labor line that is 30,000. And I added that in because I need to reach to an outside agency to bring in some already trained, already certified dispatchers to help fill in for the next 3 months until we can get our new people out of training. Our people are working long hours, hard hours. They're exhausted. They are making mistakes. And I think it's a lot of it is some of the mistakes that they're making now are not intentional. They're tired. They're tired. They're working 5 12-hour shifts a week. They need some relief. And in order to do that, I can get an outside company to come in, kind of like traveling nurses, only they are traveling dispatchers. They are fully certified. I had talked to Ken about it. I talked to Lisa about it. So I did add that in there to help. And then the rest of it, I can.
Which line item is that?
Mm,
Part-time salary?
2545.
Yeah, miscellaneous labor, 2-2545.
Linda, before you came, we took on Roxbury County, right?
That's
We
going
did.
now.
Yeah, but they're gone now.
Was that 2 years ago?
That's about 2 years ago.
It was right
We're
at,
coming right at 2 years now.
yeah,
Now they pulled back out.
correct.
They dropped out. Didn't we hire some extra labor and some people at that? We hired one extra person at that time.
We did not.
We used the
think we
people that
did.
we had. The thought was that we may have to, but we were able to do it.
You never did have to.
Yeah.
hire them.
Yeah, you've got dispatchers down there. Slim and I talked about this a lot. You've got dispatchers down there that they don't get a break to eat. They bring their food and they're at the panel.
What is full-time? I mean, full staff. How many people are we talking?
17 dispatchers. 17
Every
dispatchers.
shift?
No, 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 no.
17 total.
In total,
To
I'm
cut
sorry,
24.
in total,
To man 3.
to man a minimum of 3 stations and allow for vacation and
How many do you have?
minimum of 3. We would like to have 4. We would like to have 3 plus a supervisor. But right now, the supervisor is acting as a dispatcher. They aren't able to do the duties that they need to be doing, and they're not able to oversee the floor and what the dispatchers are doing the way that they need to be, because they're having to act as a dispatcher and take a radio and answer phones throughout a whole shift.
And Celinda, I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I'm going to. That when we were down there, I'm in her office and I look and I see a cot. I said, what's that all about? When you talk about dedication of employees, you sleep down there to fill in for somebody that wasn't there or somebody that needed to go home. That's how short we are. And some of the calls that these folks are doing, I don't know if you could do it.
You were supposed to bring that up. I'm sorry.
It's too bad. I'm going to because you deserve a pat on the back for your
Thank you.
dedication since you come on. And as the whole feeling of the whole department, I know is better. You know, it would be nice if you had a window, if you had something that they could look outside. Anything that,
Then somebody
anything
could
that,
see in and see I'm there. I don't know that I want to.
well, but anything that would help.
Yes.
But after visiting with, I lost her name, the gal that we were when we were talking about union stuff,
Oh, Lisa.
Lisa,
Carla.
and some of the calls that she was on and working on. You know, you gotta take that home with you.
Yeah, you do.
It's tough.
It is tough.
It's
And they
tough.
deserve,
you
they
do that-
deserve to be able to take a vacation day or a
And
comp
to do that
day.
for 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go to the other room and eat a sandwich and to get away from it because you don't have the people to do it.
Yeah,
You're
we
swamped.
don't have the people.
You're swamped. And that's if nothing really big is going on. Those are just your normal calls, you know, the cat in the tree to the car accident kind of a thing. But I don't think unless you're down there and watch to see what's going on, you don't really realize what's going on down there. It's an eye opener, folks. It really, really is.
So is it, approximately true that, to staff one position 24/7, 365, takes about 4.5 people? That
Yes,
about
sir.
right, or
Yes, sir.
what's the
think
number
that's the
that you
number
would
that you
say?
have.
That is the number, yeah.
Right, that's what I would,
Yeah.
that's what I could kind of, it takes more than 4, I know that.
Right.
Takes, so about 4.
I think it's 433 or 434 or something like that, but we can say
So
45.
call it
That makes
4
me.
or 5. Gives you a little, but anyway,
Yeah.
somewhere in that neighborhood, 4.5 people to staff each radio, I'll call it. And then you try and have 3 people on each shift to do radio.
A minimum of 3. I can't go less than 3.
You run 3 stations?
We have four main radios that we have to operate. And I would like to have a person per radio because there's a lot that can happen on those radios. But we don't have the staffing, even full staffing, it is hard to always have 4 people. We have a minimum of 3. Someone has to double up a radio.
What do you mean by a radio?
So the radio frequency. So you have all the fire departments.
So some frequencies, they don't have all frequencies available to them at their one console.
They do, but there's no way you can listen to all that at one time.
Right.
And because of, I mean, they're talking over each other, right? You have an overlap, and you can't even hear some radios when other radios are talking because they're talking over the top of each other.
Right, and so one specific dispatcher only listens to sheriff's traffic.
Right.
And or city of Gary traffic.
Right.
And or whatever. Okay, I can understand that somewhat.
But when you're talking about what hard to explain. You've got a dispatcher that just handled a fatality accident.
Mhm.
To be able to, just to get away, go in the other room, have a cup of coffee, get your head cleared before you start something else, doesn't happen.
No,
Doesn't happen.
no. They
And
hang
that's-
up from that phone call and
and-
answer another one.
And that's tough on people. That is hard on people. It is.
I have a plan to visit with Celinda about that, to give you guys some relief on that particular issue. Because I do that for Valley, I did it today, I have another one down there tomorrow. And I'll talk to you about what we can do to kind of help dispatchers.
Okay.
You're talking about people that have went through major stress type situation.
And sometimes you
critical
just
incident.
need to have a debrief now and then, just to not let it build up to that flashpoint.
That's fine. If you got somebody to take the spot,
Oh,
that
yeah,
that can
but you-
answer the call.
I can do
That's-
that personally, sitting beside
Yeah.
someone. I do that.
Yeah.
I sit in an ambulance sometimes on a call, I'm visiting with that guy. I mean, you gotta make it work.
Yeah.
Because everybody has the same issue. Valley's down 6 people.
So how close to these folks that are in training now to be back online? 3
We
months?
have 4 in training.
Okay.
1 will be released the end of this month,
Okay,
and the other 3 will not be released until the 1st of November.
okay.
1st to middle of
So these
November. It
tra-
kind of
these-
depends. I mean, the
these-
goal right now is the 1st of
And
November.
these traveling dispatchers then would come in and help fill some of those gaps.
Yes,
Yeah,
I can get 2 of them to come in and help
Yeah.
fill that
Right.
gap.
Right.
And is their pay then,
Comparable to
Substantial.
what our dispatchers
But they're
make.
pa- but they're paid by the company.
But they're paid by the company. The company wants our wage scale so that they can make sure that they're comparable to where we are. They also have a clause that in the contract that says that they can't poach our dispatchers for a year. So if they were to come in and our dispatchers were to go, oh, that's cool, I want to do that job, they won't hire them for a year after they've left our building. So
So from the time you hire, and I know you told me this and I forgot.
Mhm.
From the time a dispatcher is hired and trained, what's that timeline?
5 months.
5 months, okay. I thought it was more than that.
5
but
months.
5 months. They spend 5 weeks in an in-house academy. 3 weeks is learning our equipment, policies, procedures, or getting to know them. They haven't learned them yet. There's so many and it takes time. But then another week is dedicated to EMD, emergency medical dispatch. And another week is for the 40-hour dispatch certification class. Both of those we teach in-house. Then they go to the floor and they do on-the-job training for 4 months.
so they're somewhat helpful at that.
They can't be, them and their trainer are still only just one person. We are not allowed to count them as a person that could work alone until they're completely released from training.
And who's the policeman of that
The state of Nebraska,
state of Nebraska, what department?
911,
Public Commission?
yes, the 911 Public Safety Commission. Sorry, you guys lost me, 911.
Pretty easy to remember. I thought, it just, on Selena's behalf, I thought that the traveling dispatch thing was pretty unique without having to pay, we don't have to pay any benefits or anything to these individuals.
It's all
It's all-
of
it's
their
all handled
benefit
in that-
package and everything
that
comes
amount,
from the
yeah.
company.
Right.
We just have a contract price that we
And
pay.
it's gonna lighten up the load down there. It's gonna get the job done.
I can take part of the funds out of the 911 funds that we
Yeah.
received from the board.
Yes.
And then,
Well, if it costs the same, yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
right,
Costs the same.
right.
I mean,
And if
You're
we
putting
get,
it in a
if the
different
two
line
people
item.
that come decide they like our area and they want to stay, then we can hire them on full-time, so then we already have someone.
Yep.
And we don't have to go through the training process,
And it's gonna relieve,
as long
it's
as it
gonna
meets
relieve
the
you.
county's requirements to,
You're gonna get that microphone taken care of, so it's good to go then.
right?
And I think it's a great idea, to be honest with you. Until we get everybody trained and up to snuff, and then keep moving with it.
Right.
We may be able to bump your unemployment down a little. I don't know.
I didn't know where we were with that, so, I mean, if we can get rid
There
of
was
it, we
another
can get rid of it, but
There was another payment made in July.
okay.
So I'm trying to figure out if it costs the same, then why would we put it?
Because my wages that are calculated up at the top, 0318, that is without those positions being filled.
Because we're still paying the wages to those in training, so that's still included in.
Right, but I have vacant positions as well.
Right, okay.
And I don't have, my vacant positions are not in here because I can't fill them possibly till November. So that portion of those wages are not included in my budget request. I still have 2 vacancies,
You don't
but
have-
we don't have trainers to train them. So I can't hire the 2 more people I need until November. I can't start the interview process to hire until we can put them in, get someone in-house to train them. So I have taken them out of my wages
For the whole year.
for the first, for the first 5 months. Right, for the first partial part of the year.
What's your part-time?
The part-time
What's wrong with that?
is actually, well, because that is the 3 people that are on part-time,
Okay,
2 of which will go away whenever
we're.
we are back staffed. But right now, that's 3 part-time people that we currently have. It was in one column and then it was out, and I guess it was all being dumped into just the one, the full-time, and maybe I put it in the wrong column.
No, I think we'd want to keep it separate, and maybe they
Okay.
didn't split it out. So if you can put those part-timers in a separate line, that would be good. And you
Okay.
do have health insurance for 19 full-time employees for the whole year. Maybe that could drop down.
Okay.
That's how many, I mean, that's something we could jog down because you're not at 19 full-time
Well-
employees all year.
But I did.
Taking the number divided by 12,000, I have 19 FTEs. How many do you have right now?
17.
You have 17?
No, yeah, there's 17 of us.
What's that?
There's 17 of us, yes. We need 19.
Probably, but you will have some.
Right.
And that includes those being trained.
Right.
So when you run 3 people at a shift, do you have any supervisors along with those 3 people?
They are included in the 3 people.
So they're in the
So
3 people.
one's a
So you're-
supervisor.
You're there, you're.
When I'm not. I mean, if I have to work the
No, no.
floor, I will work
I
the
don't
floor.
mean that, but I mean, as far as being there physically, you're there as a, we're paying you as a force person, not to do the physical calls. You're
Yeah.
there as an employee or a
Manager.
supervisor,
Yeah.
manager.
And there's potentially a supervisor on duty, but that supervisor on duty is also working
As a
Okay, so
dispatcher.
that's-
as a
I
dispatcher.
was wondering if they were working,
Right.
or if you have somebody kind of walking the floor.
No,
Okay, good.
no.
And
I wish I did.
We-
I,
we-
trust me, I wish I did. There is
we
so
need
much
that
that they need to be
too.
doing.
You do need that.
You
There's
do.
a lot of things in this county, but.
Well,
Our
you're
trouble is
dealing
we've
with
got a
people's
lot
lives.
Well, it's true, but this job has been done 50, 60, 70 years. And they've dealt with fatality accidents. They've dealt with all kinds of stuff. I've done it somewhat as a part-time person.
You've done that as well?
Yeah, as a sheriff reserve part-time.
Oh, yeah.
And, so, but I know it is tough to hire people in every position all over the place.
Everywhere.
And it is tough. And I don't know how many people it takes to handle how many specific calls and what that is and that type of thing. I'm not an expert, but I know that there's lots of people that do dispatch work. And when we're in an, when I was doing some work, there were 2 people that were in front of stations. And again, at what point, how many people at those, how many stations, how many people then needs a supervisor that all they do is supervise? That's a good question. But, I gotta go back to the revenue side of this to look at some things.
And I gotta say one thing about supervisors. The purpose of that supervisor is to not only supervise, but fill in at those different stations so they're allowed to take their lunch, their breaks and stuff like that. So it ain't just a continuing supervising, they're actually working.
No, but, I mean, my suspicion is, and I need to go spend time down there sometime.
Come on.
And,
We'll
I
take
mean,
you.
if somebody has to go to the potty, then ultimately, someone's gonna cover for somebody so they can go to the potty.
Yep. Then you have 2 people taking all the radios instead of 3.
Right.
And our call volumes nowadays are way higher than
Yeah.
were
They used to be.
years ago.
They are.
Would you tell me 12 or 13 lines coming in?
Oh, yeah.
Just example, Valley, 2 days ago, they had 25 calls that.
So,
What would happen if, the comm center, what if everybody resigned at the same time? Where do the calls go?
State Patrol. The State Patrol would have to take the calls.
And we would just switch and all the 911 calls would go straight to state patrol.
We wouldn't flip a switch, but we would reach out to the company that can flip the switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they would go to the State Patrol.
And they have downsized their piece.
I mean, I'm assuming that it would be North Platte. They could send them on over to Kearney too if they wanted to, or Grand Island, or wherever they have a troop. I mean, yeah, it would be too much for North Platte to be able to handle.
Chaos put that.
Yeah, so I mean, we would be dispersed across the
just
state.
like, again, part of the story of going to that new system was that others could help from remote parts of the state.
Yes, and we have, our 911 here has gone down, and we have had problems, and we've had, Sydney, so Cheyenne County, did take our calls for about 5-6 hours one day, and until they could get everything back up and running.
Well, I know all of this is more technical and sophisticated than when I was there. I do know that. So,
And it gets more
I
so
need to-
every day.
yeah. So I gotta be a little careful of what I say here.
When we used to do it, we used a cassette recorder. That's how we were
Some
recording
of
our phone calls.
So the utilities that were on there, get out of there. 2-0501. That one is being removed. I asked her to take that one off. That was for the radio towers that we have for South Mitchell and Minutair.
What line
And the
item is
board actually
0501.
2-0501. It's on page 1, second section.
But
The 911 board has agreed to
pay those.
pay those.
Linda, would you enlighten the board about the tower on 7th Street?
The action one?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to pay rent on that tower. Don't know how it happened. Don't know. I just know whenever they came in with the new state radio system, they moved everything from the hospital over to Action. They said that they needed to be able to access it. Was that right? That they had to be able to access it 24 hours a day, and they couldn't do that at the hospital. So now we have to pay Action. Action was the one suggesting that we move it, and then it got moved.
When we brought on the new statewide radio.
Right, when we went to the new state
Yeah,
radio.
and they also said top of the hospital might be, I mean, it's heavier equipment with statewide radio. And whether the top of the hospital could accommodate that, they didn't know. It would be much easier to access sitting at the Action site on 27th Street.
But the way it was presented was, I have room on my tower down there, so if you wanna move this up to there, that's
Yeah,
okay.
so we went from a free location to a $14,000 a year location.
I thought it was 30,000.
Oh, I'm sorry, 30,000.
30,000 a year?
30,000 to sit on their tower.
That was,
What's wrong with this tower here?
that's the favor that.
There's one out, we use this one as well,
Well, I know you do. What's wrong with moving that equipment over there?
Well,
because that same equipment is already on this tower.
What?
Need another location.
You need different towers.
Yeah.
Different towers to.
In order to hit different
hit
parts of the
different
county.
places. Right. That's my
And-
guess.
Yeah. And at the time, yeah, we went to his tower. I'm sorry, I had a really great point. Now I can't remember what it was. Anyway, yeah,
Which tower is this?
One
27th
in
Street.
action.
Right behind
The one in
the
Action.
building.
Yes.
Yeah. And, oh, we tried to see, well, this makes sense. The radios that are pinging off that tower, it isn't just county using it. It's your fire department, your police, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's
everybody,
using it.
everybody, all public safety.
So we took it to 2910 advisory committee, the 911 advisory committee. They said, not in your interlocal, we're not gonna pay that.
Yeah.
We're gonna look to, we hope with your support, to make some changes to the interlocal. We don't think that's fair. We're not the
Right.
only ones using that.
No, I think they should be,
But
I think,
But they're-
that's my opinion. They should
questioning
be.
a lot of stuff with the statewide right now too, so.
Right.
We think they should be contributing more to help our comm center.
So we went from a free tower to a $30,000 a year tower,
Yes.
and this is on the same tower.
It's not on the
No.
same tower.
They were on
It
top.
was at the hospital. At the hospital, it was free.
Why aren't we at the hospital?
You wanna say it or?
No, that's what he said, their equipment was too heavy, so they moved it over here supposedly.
They were afraid it would be too heavy.
Well,
And it's not maybe accessible on the weekends if they need to get there, just,
That's.
well, that was what,
Yeah.
We had been
Is it the
accessing it for
hospital
years,
telling
so
us, or
it was Rick
This-
Durr
Rick
telling us.
Durr.
this was Action
Added.
Communication
Why is
telling
Rick-
this.
So the guy who's gonna make the money on the transaction is telling us. that
Yes.
We haven't heard anything from the hospital.
Oh, this happened a
just-
couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember
But yeah.
now, but now we're getting charged for it,
So
so.
we've been
Oh,
being
yeah.
charged for it.
And
We just-
action has been sold as well during that whole
not
process.
that part of it. Rick
Mm-mm.
owns those towers.
Does he? Okay.
He's retired, but he still owns.
Well, let's go to the hospital and ask if we can go back. on
Can we
this
have it
hospital
back?
for
Exactly right.
$5,000 a year.
We'll have to hire Rick to move all the equipment.
That would be 30,000.
But that's a one-time fee, right?
Just a one-time fee.
I don't know, you'd have to have other people that are on the committee explain that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand.
It's pretty clear.
Where are we at, Cindy?
I don't know.
Okay.
Your official request is 134.8, correct?
Well, we're gonna make it 133.8.
133.8, okay.
Oh, no.
No?
No, second, or gotta go to the next page. Right, it's 2 pages.
Yeah, there's two or
Yeah,
three pages
it's-
to this
it's-
one.
More than, sorry. Where's my phone? Yeah, it's at the bottom of the second page.
2,045,046, okay.
And
And that's.
No, no,
Lisa,
no.
We're not looking at the same thing.
Evidently not.
we
Not
are
sure
looking for
where
tax
we
ask.
We're looking at here.
Yeah,
Should be on the last page.
When you say
Yeah.
bottom of,
There's
here's
no,
mine.
I don't have no number on taxes
14.
currently.
Oh, did it not print?
It
It's,
didn't
oh,
print.
it's in a different place. It's under interfund transfer from general fund. 1,269,000 was last year's number. This year it's 1,579,000. See that?
Yep.
But is that when we take out that other? The utilities and,
Yeah, that's where
Other
we're
stuff
at
that I
when we
took
take
out?
out utilities and everything. So it's like $310,000 more in tax ask, which is also less how much we were getting from Fox Butte County. You know, we did lose that 140 is what we
We did.
budgeted for that last year, and they paid through like November.
And so when we took on their business, we didn't add any people,
No,
and now we're not doing theirs.
Right.
Right.
You should have added people,
When
but
did
that was not, I didn't have anything to do with that, but I would have fought for that. You should have.
really.
It was too much, yeah.
Was it?
But then we had more staffing where we could have 4 people a lot of the time.
But by November, you're going to be staffed. We're gonna be okay.
Yes. Well, we will still be down 2. I'll still be short 2. So it'll be March, end of March, before we would actually be fully staffed.
Because they've got to go through the training.
Because they've got to go through that 5-month training. But the ones that are hired and in training right now would be out in March, which would only have me down 2 people
So when we get a new
versus
deputy,
down 5 or 6
send them to Grand Island, how long are they down there?
months.
Yeah.
But this takes 5. Communications.
Well, I have more than just a gun and a taser.
I understand, but trying to figure out,
At least 4. I can double check
Wait,
that with
yeah.
Troy, but I'm pretty sure it's 4.
Yeah, it's 4.
And that's also doing the EMD certification, which we didn't used to have. That's your
Right.
medical dispatching.
Right.
And that's your 40-hour dispatch that you didn't used to have. And it will include a 24-hour fire service that we didn't used to have.
We need more help from the entities receiving the services. From our dispatch would be huge, but this is where we're at. They do pay their portion, and we could go look at that budget too.
Has that been increased since the original?
Oh, yeah. Well, this year, that was what we just finished up,
Just did that, okay.
budget increase on that. And they're the ones, our consoles in the comm center are sunsetting in 2029 to the tune of how much? 40, 50,000?
It'll be, no, it'll be it'll be close to 600, 700,000 when we have total, to replace the 4.
But the advisory committee
Or 6.
has agreed to start paying towards that, replacing our consoles.
So, almost 26% increase, is that where you're at?
Yes, sir. Do I need to show them the wage?
Yeah, you could show, you may go
Yep.
copy it? Yeah, should I do that?
I'd rather gave the last one 26%.
what's that?
I'd rather gave the last one 26%.
Well, nothing happens unless they are able to do their job. You have no fire, you have
We
no
might have
police.
to be doing something.
You have no fire, you have.
What's your alternative? What's your alternative?
thinking here, I don't know, think about that. 26% is a pretty good whack. Anything for 1 year. We haven't bought any.
Fix this. The old one. And she's sitting there with it. John, can we have this? You did it. Yes, it's a- We should probably do it.
Can, can we maybe look at the, yeah, let's go ahead and look at those.
Here's
You-
the next one. Oh, two, okay, I'm
One's for
sorry.
dispatchers and one's for.
Do you keep a log on your calls and stuff? Do you guys have a log of how many calls you get in 24 hours?
Yes, sir.
And how many, normally, what's an average?
In a 24-hour period, let's see, last month we had I want to say around 7,700 for the month. So, what's that divided by? I don't know.
Mine are the same,
Are they exactly the same?
looks like it.
Supposed to say supervisor ones.
Mine are the same too.
They've got the same
Maybe they need to. Mine are different.
wages.
Mine are different.
So I was wondering if we got something tangled up.
Supervisor.
They got dispatch supervisor.
I've got two the
Oh,
same.
Make it confusing for you. Dispatcher, dispatcher,
The other one would be this one here.
dispatcher.
This one would be
Okay,
this
thank you.
so these are what I'm just glancing at, but
About 250 calls a day, sir. Rough
You got
estimate.
256.
Okay. I was just top of my head throwing numbers up.
10 an hour.
Now, that's phone calls. That's not officer or responder initiated calls for service. We have those on top of that. And that is probably doubled, and in some time spans, it would be tripled
on the microphone.
from, from that.
So I'm just glancing at this and saying, so that's similar to starting deputy and supervisor deputy type. They're virtually the same. Well,
Yeah, so the top row is current, where they're at currently, and then the bottom is what the comparison showed.
The bottom's our salary now, correct?
No, the top is our salary now. The bottom is the recommend, or the recommended. That's the median.
Okay, I got you. So the ones in boxes at the bottom you're talking about here.
Right. Yeah, so
So they're-
the bottom down here, comparable, this is what their step increases are right now,
Right,
or where they are. And then the bottom
is the recommended.
is the
So about
recommended,
10%.
roughly
Increase.
10%, yeah. And that didn't get me an increase in this budget. It only got them an increase. If they get that increase, then I have supervisors that are going to be making $3,000 less than me in an entire year. So when they work 10 hours of overtime in a month, they're making more money than I am. And they're working a lot less hours than I am. But if I can get my budget approved, I'll take it.
But what?
If I can get this budget approved, I'll take it. I'll take one for the team.
And when you do the training, how many hours of training do you bring in somebody new to fully train them?
To fully train them for us, they do 15 12-hour days in 4 different phases. The state has a mandate that they only have to have 120 hours on the job. So on the floor with a training officer. The problem is we have so many different agencies and different procedures and fire departments that can't do the same thing as everybody else. They all have to have their own procedure. And when you do that for 7 different agencies, and you're doing the same thing for the law enforcement agencies, and then for EMS, it's a lot more than what a month's worth of sitting beside someone can get you. So for them to
had
be
no idea.
proficient, that's why we have it stretched out the way we have.
I just didn't have no idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a procedure for everything that we do, and that book is a 4-ring binder. And they have to know that and study that and take tests on that, and they have to have at least 80% knowledge before they can even come out of training. And especially since you have supervisors that are working as dispatchers and they don't have time to oversee what the dispatchers are doing because they're having to do the role of a dispatcher. They can't ensure that policy is being followed or procedures being followed because they're trying to do it themselves. They don't know what the other person's doing.
But at
So-
some particular point, the dispatcher should be trained enough not to have a supervisor checking on them all the time, right?
True, yes. I mean, that's the goal, and that's what the end of that 5 months, we want them 80% proficient to be able to function on their own and then know that they need to go look things up
So,
and where to find
so
them.
they don't touch a console for 5 months.
Oh, no, they're working on it every day. They just have someone sitting with
Somebody
them
that's
to
training-
ensure that
training
they're,
them. Okay, I got you.
yeah. They're not allowed to take the radio without someone watching them and documenting what they do. They get an observation report every day at the end of their shift. So they know how well they did or how poorly they did. And they know what they did right and what they did wrong and what they need to improve on for tomorrow. Every day. Just like the officers do or the deputies do. It's all based on the same training program, which is called the San Jose Model Training Program, which started in California. And that's the same training program that the officers use.
So I'm looking on the revenue, and which I think is on the very back page.
Sounds about right.
And so there are several line items there. So,
They get money for,
911 surcharge. Anytime a cell phone is used within our area, we get a surcharge from the phone company for that. And then the landlines,
which
Is-
line item is that?
39509, 911.
Well, the 911, I understand that.
yeah,
But that's whether it's cell phone or hard line or anything else, isn't it?
no, it's separated out. The state gives me landline 911 money, fee money.
Okay.
And then we have the cell phone companies send us the cell phone fee.
Okay, but it's all under that line item.
911 surcharge.
I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, I guess it would be.
I guess that's where it gets placed.
Yeah. That would be.
And
I'm
it is a
sorry.
little interesting because that shows it was 92 and then 69 and then 72. Which is a little interesting. And we had budgeted 110. But didn't get nearly that much, did we? So I don't know what happened there, but
I don't either.
somewhat interesting. Okay,
One year we got 92. Maybe
I
that's
know.
where we were bumping it up the last
Yeah.
2 years.
then it went to 69.
Yeah, and then it's
then
gone
it went
down.
to 72.
We don't have any control over that, do we? Someone did to your
No.
knowledge?
No.
But doesn't the
I even
public-
had a return check for $6. I never could get collected on it. I tried. I even threatened them with with the court and everything else. I still didn't get my $6. I don't have any control.
And then we get tower fees for, I think, South Mitchell, isn't it?
Yes, South Mitchell, and then
Because of Halo's out there, right?
right,
So tower fees, meaning we rent our tower
we
to
rent
somebody
right,
else.
a portion of it, yeah,
Okay.
a section
I
on there.
understand, good.
And then alarm monitoring fees, the alarms that we monitor throughout the community. The fire alarms and burglar alarms and businesses and residences.
Yeah, if you have a security system in your home, then
Right.
you're deemed.
Whatever it is.
So someone asked me one time,
Mhm.
and so by what authority do you do that?
Why?
Collect that money?
There's a, I don't know, it's through the alarm company, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's to do with an alarm. It was before, I have no idea.
This,
Well-
this is a Michael Sound Sleeper thing, is always what I've been told.
All right?
You know, a lot of alarm companies pay it, they don't bill their customers for it.
Oh, okay.
Is
The
it?
alarm company pays it. They collect that, it's part of your payment, but they collect it and then they pay it to
There
you
you go.
guys.
So
Okay.
some of
Is
those
one.
alarm systems dial a dispatch center that's non-governmental, but it is owned by the alarm company. Some of those, calls are programmed into those that they come directly to you.
We have a program. It's not a phone call. It is an actual program on our computer that when the alarm is activated, it pops up on our computer and we build a call for service based on that notification from that application.
I think it was years ago, there was a city ordinance that was developed to be able to charge.
I'm thinking that there is
It was a long time
there's a,
Someone told me that there might be a city ordinance for Scotts Bluff,
Yeah,
but there's certainly not a county ordinance. There's certainly not a city of Gearing ordinance, the way I understand it, and there's not any in the other communities, the way I understand it. And so that's why I'm asking, by what authority do we do that?
it's,
I'm not sure we have the authority, but we're
Who's
doing
talked,
it.
who's talked to us about this before? Was it sheriff?
probably.
I think
Because Rita's the one that does all the billing and collection on it.
I think the story was, we were gonna do it anyway until we got forced on the issue.
$100,000, I'll take it.
Well, it is,
It's a service that we're providing. that-
It is a service that we're
it
providing.
is somewhat, but I'll just simply say that if my alarm system calls your office, you're gonna respond.
If your alarm company calls me,
Yeah.
I'm not
okay.
gonna allow you to have an automatic dial to me.
I think I have one.
We need to talk. Because if it
Guess-
doesn't work,
Guess who helped me get it there?
I can only imagine.
Yeah, Ray. So, so.
If it doesn't come to me at some point, then don't come after me. I don't know.
Anyway.
They're not very
I don't
reliable, and
wanna
that's the only reason I
argue
said
about all
that.
that
So,
right now. I'm just throwing it out at you that someone said, who gives you the authority to do that? And maybe there is, and maybe we don't need authority. I don't know.
and I think what we're charging is for the service to monitor their alarm. Because it's a software called MicroKey that they are sold this by some outside company, and then we charge them to monitor that alarm.
And
We're not saying that they have to have a permit to have that alarm. We're charging them so much per year to monitor that alarm.
so I don't wanna,
I'll
Get
talk-
into that
I'll
whole
talk to you
thing.
about it.
Yeah, we'll talk later.
I think I have an idea of what happened with all of that. That's
all right, and so if we go on down, miscellaneous refund, that looks something minimal or something.
Yeah.
That's money
But
that,
then a couple years ago, we said, we just,
Yeah.
she just kept it in there.
but we only got $91 under that. But, all right, not a big line item. So we already do an interfund transfer of inheritance tax for 200 and have done for,
For the last few years.
and so that's just been a automatic. Okay. And then it's the interfund transfer from general fund, that's what you said is technically the tax
Tax.
asking line.
Yes.
Yeah.
What I'll call general fund taxes.
Yes.
And we budgeted last year in that of 1.269, and this year 1.597.
We spent 1.479, we spent 200,000
Was-
more last year.
Actually, I think you take the Heather's Treasurer's Department's doing some strange things. I call it strange. She's doing what Auditor of Public Accounts is telling her to do. Because this is a separate fund from the general fund. And if she doesn't have enough money in the fund to pay her bills, we borrow from Keno, we borrow from inheritance, or we borrow from capital improvements. And she handles the payback of these monthly loans differently, so I think I think it's 1.214 is what we actually shared, because you see I have a interfund loan part of it is part of expenses. It's more
Negative.
like 1.214 is what was actually given to,
That didn't
This
transfer over
fund.
here either, I don't have that.
you don't see the,
It's not on here.
this plus the minus.
You have a box down below.
Well, of course I do, because I just put it on there, but it didn't print. So you could do a little pencil and say it's an asterisk, asterisk. The difference is 1.21, 1,000,002. That's what.
You think
This,
1,200,000 is what actually came from taxes? Is that what you're
yes, that
saying?
came from the general fund,
Then
like that. Sorry for the confusion. Like I said, I was confused trying to dump my numbers in because the clerk wasn't agreeing to the treasurer, and it's because of this yada yada with how she's supposed to handle payback
And then,
loans.
does that change your thoughts on the 1.597?
It doesn't.
It
The
does.
1.597 is what we say we need from the general fund to run this account.
Even though we only needed used 1.2.
Where
That's what
else
they
am I gonna get
budgeted
the
last year's 1.2, that's what they budgeted was
Yeah.
1.2.
That's all we budgeted was 1.269. But we don't have that revenue of the intergovernmental. That's a big, we started off with a higher fund balance, and her proposed budget is higher. Between those three lines,
So
means
we're,
we need more general fund somehow.
well, I'm not sure I understand what you're telling me on the Heather thing, but what I'm seeing is we use 788,000 in the general fund, and then we went to 946,000. And then we went to, I'm gonna call it 1.4 million you're calling it 1.2,
Mm-hmm.
and now you want to go to 1.597, or let's call it 1.6. Is that true?
Yeah.
That is true. So in 1, 2, 3, 4 years, we doubled.
Yeah, but, oh, well, and the reason would be, and the reason is for a lot of that is the fact we used to levy taxes to this fund. And like 3 years ago, we stopped levying taxes to the comm center directly and to the detention center directly. All funds are levied to the general fund and then we allocate money down.
And you're saying that last item, that property tax, was that tax?
Mm-hmm. That was part of it. Now, let me go, I think it might be more. The year before that was 868,000. Year before that was 770 that they levied.
Okay.
Then, like I said, by directive of the APA, we were not to levy to funds outside the general unless we could see it in statutes that we're allowed to do it. And I don't have any way of proving that that levying to the central communications fund is a statute.
Well, you surely weren't, you weren't levying that and it showed up as a separate line item on my tax statement.
Yes, it was. Back in 2021,
You think so?
they might have grouped it to make everything more concise, but if you went and looked at detail, you had a line item for detention and a line item for comm center. Line item for flood.
What was that last
The
one?
flood account was also levied to.
21. When did you change it?
2021, 22, or 2022,
Anything before that?
yeah, you can go see what I turned into the APA by looking on their website too, and you can see the different line items. I mean, this is how it was done before, and then it got, about the time that Deanna
Deanne Hafner?
left, that's when they started saying, okay, now we need to move this forward. You can't levy to funds unless you can tell us where in statutes it says you can. I quit doing it. Plus, I
That's
was
a-
told by
Novel idea.
Jeff Schreier, you don't want to levy those taxes there because you have more control of what gets levied. I mean, more control over the amount of dollars that go into central communications.
So then, when we look at the bottom line where it says total revenue, then that does start to make more, well, it's plausible and it's acceptable when it says 1.855, 1.803, 1.807, jumping to 2.045, right?
We need more money to support this area. Unless we figure out a different way to do it, like having the cities contribute more to the services that we're providing them.
Now,
That's the only way, but we can't do that quickly.
I know that they have, city police departments which give you more, expense to, like the city of Scotts Bluff, you're gonna get a lot more
Call volume,
call volume from there.
yeah.
But we also, from a tax standpoint, we get a lot more tax money from Scotts Bluff.
Get from the people that live,
In Scotts Bluff.
More parcel.
yeah, I'd say
Overall,
obviously it's got a
we get-
larger valuation.
Right, so, we get lots more tax money from them.
Yeah.
And I only bring this up because back in 1988, I argued that, why do we have 5 different dispatches in the county,
At that time, we did.
right? And I said, why aren't we consolidating those and making it into one? And then the story was, yeah, but, then should those communities pay extra? especially those that already had dispatching services, like Scotts Bluff, Gearing. I don't remember if Mitchell had somebody at that time or not. Scotts Bluff, Gearing was the two major ones. And then my argument was, why would the city pay twice? Why would their citizens pay for it in their county levy, then pay for it again in their city levy? See what I mean?
Makes sense, but it's in the peril we're at now. I mean,
know. Yeah, so the point meaning to me, that going back to them to say that we should get more money from the cities hits me a little bit wrong, but
well,
I understand what you're saying.
you
The
get what
fact
I'm
is,
saying, cause I
this
go
is-
look at our comparison counties and it's split a whole lot different than what we're doing. And, you know, like North Platte's putting 600,000 in to their 911 service.
They've got a lot bigger pool of money to
No.
draw out of.
Yeah, they're the same.
Now, what do you think, the 911
No,
charge?
I'm saying, how much are they paying
Yeah, but
towards
their real estate
911?
values are
Oh, I
over
thought you
9
said-
billion,
Are,
or 3 billion.
yeah, well, no, I'm saying more like North Platte will pay, Lincoln County pays like 600,000 towards 911 services. Maybe their dispatches in the city.
You're talking about states.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's dispatches are handled differently. And
Are you talking about the 911 surcharge?
I'm talking about what Lincoln County, how much they don't have a comm center in Lincoln County. I don't think they do.
You mean
How
they
you
all do
operate
their
well.
own?
Then who's managing it? Somebody else's. We'll
State
come back
patrol.
with that.
State
Okay.
patrol must be doing
Yeah,
that.
we can
Yeah,
do that later.
and so
We
they
better
don't
try
have
and get
that
that right
burden,
there.
they don't have that burden in their levies to pay. And here we are, the cities pay us, they bark because we're charging them $200,000. But it's like, it's costing us $2 million to have a department. And we're asked to pare down. I mean, we're on a lose-lose situation. I get where you're saying, but on the other side, how do we fund this? Or else, then let's disband and give everybody a console and you do it yourself and we'll just fund 4 or 5 people to do county work.
That's how it used to be.
That's how it used to be, but then we could afford it.
Police dispatch their own, fire dispatch their own.
Then we could
valley
afford it.
Dispatch their own.
Then we can afford it.
I don't have a
Well,
job
fire
anymore.
department, you know, way back then, you just called the fire department, they came out, that was it.
How was it? 247, 2000.
And we just, in the county decided, well, we'll dispatch for you. We did, and we did it for free for a long time. And maybe not for free because they're paying property tax. But we had to expand this communication center in order to handle the county's expense.
And what I think I remember, and I may be wrong about this, I thought that when it first started, those cities did pay some, but it was in an agreement
It was
to be phased out.
Nominal amount, I think, if they did it, wasn't a lot of money.
But it was
They- well, they
over
weren't-
time,
they
it would
weren't
be
being
phased
dispatched.
out.
They were dispatching themselves, is the only thing. And then they went to, back in the proper hour days, they started dispatching for the fire department, and the police department.
Was pagers, did they do pagers early like that?
What's that?
Was it pagers, they just had a triplex or?
Yeah,
I remember I was on there 35 years, 40 years ago.
yeah.
It's pretty, I remember we just had, you just call like 222 or something, and you had a fire department.
So is there any way to break out calls from, get dispatched to different agencies? We could say, okay,
Yeah, instead
Cities
of
got
having
what?
12 different phone lines rolled into us, we would just have county.
But can you track it? I
but
think
can we
he's
track
asking.
it? So can we look back in the past 12 months and say 90% of the calls went discussed by the PD, or 45% of the calls went discussed by fire?
I could look at calls for service, but not phone calls that came in. I can't break it out by what number they called.
So,
Especially with
The only
cell
county
What
for
phone
the
number?
county to get was the sheriff's
Yeah.
department. If that's what you're talking about, because everybody else else would have to go back the way it used to be.
Well, that's what, he's just asking, can we allocate, where's our
Yeah, I'd like
revenue
to,
going?
like to be able
Right.
to say, hey, you know, Scotts Bluff PD is
I-
70% of our.
Yeah.
I can go through calls for service. I can go through calls for service and break that out by percentage for each different agency we dispatch for.
Because how did we arrive at the current rates for the interlocal?
Based on population and
Population.
census. And yeah, right now it was the 2010 census, and at our last meeting, it was like, Minotaur shrunk. We need to relook at the census numbers, and
Yeah.
we relooked at them and Minotaur went up.
You know, and it might not be a census related thing. You know, when they tell us that Gearing is one of the safest cities in the state, and Scotts Bluff is one of the most dangerous cities in the state, you know, that's based on crime reporting and that sort of stuff and calls for service. And if Scotts Bluff is taking up the majority of those calls, you know, maybe the interlocal needs to be set up that way instead of by population.
And that's been brought up. That was brought up in the last meeting, I believe.
So you're saying they get a call and who they dispatch to go where?
Yeah.
Well, that, yeah.
And, okay, and I pulled up the advisory committee spreadsheet up here for their budget, and where we're having a lot of discussion, as you go look back, okay, so here's my 2021, 22, 23. Down like Scotts Bluff, they're the biggest naysayers. 82,000 is what they were billed for those years, but then we brought on statewide radio, Motorola. There's a hellacious maintenance fee of like $160,000 a year. So these guys were billing them more for the Motorola maintenance. So now we're bumping Scotts Bluff up to $228,000 a year. They don't want to pay it, or they're not liking it. I guess he's the only one that voted no. Gearing's at 129. Everybody went up because of this maintenance fee, and now we're getting questioned, well, if we have new radios, why do we need a maintenance fee? And it's like, we signed on when we got the radios, the project started. And anyway, we're having just a lot of interesting discussions with that. And them not wanting to pay $228,000.
So those are numbers they are paying.
Yes.
Yeah, this is just like yours, looking at, this is officials request, county board proposed, adopted. We've been in a lot of discussions with the 911 advisory committee over what our expenses are for the comm center that they will pay per the interlocal. That's what we just addressed with you, the fact that we have a rental on a tower that they're like, we won't pay that. So we had to take that out, and plus the Motorola maintenance, and there's some other stuff going on, but we've also asked them to contribute to our new consoles that are gonna sunset in 2029. So they're paying their portions, that we're gonna be billing them out here in the next couple months.
And that money shows up here.
No, has nothing to do with our county budget.
Completely separate.
Completely separate expenses to run a comm center.
Isn't that what we're doing right here?
Yeah,
running the
I
comm
brought up
center?
that, but it just comes into, I brought up the topic. $2 million is what she's presenting you in a budget. and
But I
we don't
need
have enough
more than that.
revenue, and I'm like, the cities need to kick in more. This is what the cities are kicking in for, but it has nothing to do with on that other budget. So that's why I just. Anyway, we have mini budgets. Then we have another one. This is the 2913 budget. She
Don't vote
gets
on that.
money from.
This is the landline 911
Okay.
surcharge fees that I get. It goes into another separate account because they stipulate what I can use that money to be spent for.
Which would put $111,000.
Right.
Which we hope to use for some labor to get us through. Am I saying,
Yes.
yeah?
Yeah.
through our home.
I can use it for wages for our dispatchers. And then we can take that money to pay, that I would have used for our dispatchers to pay the other, for the help that we're gonna get. No,
in the 2913 fund? If we're gonna use some of it there, and that would reduce your other budget, at least the 35,000.
well, but I, no, because I added 30 in here
As what, revenue?
as miscellaneous labor.
You put that in there. That's tax
The rest
asking.
of it I could take out of here.
Did you reduce the labor from that spreadsheet to put it here?
No,
And that might be a little bit of relief.
okay, okay.
So let me just mention a couple things here. We're still trying to get done by 7 o'clock. Mr. Ken's not feeling well and he's going home as well. We're gonna be down to 3 people. So we just need to be aware of that. We can still, we're not taking action really on items anyway.
I'm just trying to make
So
it.
it's not a big deal, but, so we need to be aware of that, I guess, yeah, and so,
Mark, can I just suggest that you just stop now? You're not making any adjustments right now. I think I just thought something she and I gotta talk through that maybe we could help to the tune of $23,000. That, and I've also told you, I'm gonna speak to the NACO representative tomorrow to make sure I'm doing my spreadsheets and telling you what that cap is. For that tomorrow, because I told you what I know. I just wanted a second set of eyes that knows what it is to make sure that's right. So
I
maybe
understand.
14.9 could go to 15.1.
okay, well, maybe we need to set this one off to the side. And, appreciate your help, and I know it's a tough situation. And
It is. That's why I asked her to come up. It's like, we've got a situation and I need you guys to be aware.
Certainly a believer in the process and the department and all of that. But, I don't know, some of the mandates, government mandates, mandating us to,
Unfunded?
yeah,
Are you talking about unfunded mandates?
That's
Talking
what I
about
heard.
training things and all of that, that just keep adding to the cost, and, so somebody's gotta pay for that, and if they do, then that means more money from property taxes, yet and the other unfunded mandate is they want to limit how much we can charge in property tax.
Yeah.
And can't keep putting more and more and more regulations in place and then expect it to be done for less. And I'm a little frustrated with that.
And I'd like to look at what the other counties are doing for comm center work.
Yeah,
I've looked and, Buffalo does run a comm center.
do they?
Yeah,
Countywide comm center?
I do believe so. You know more about it than I do. And I know some of them, they have more contributions, or maybe the city's doing it, and one of them I was looking at, they pay $600,000 to the city. That's a heck of a lot less than 2 million.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can fix that problem, but it kind of opens your eyes to where we're at, and our valuations are lower than some of those guys.
Yeah, but for those changes, we have to change the interlocal.
We do. Well, we are where we are, and
Right.
we have a,
It's not
We
gonna,
have a
it's not
service.
gonna change before we have to address this,
No.
is all I'm
Right,
trying to
right.
point out. I mean,
We gotta
yeah,
deal
it'd be
with this
great to
time.
get that, to
Right.
get that changed and get it, where it needs to be, but that's not gonna help me with this budget year.
Part of the problem you have with city councils and even commissioners for that matter is, and state, you have people making these kind of decisions who don't know anything about what you guys do. That's part of the problem.
Well, thank you for listening to
Thanks
me.
for coming,
who,
appreciate it.
so looking toward, you're fine. looking towards tomorrow, you want me to directly invite somebody? You three that are left.
Well,
Tourism.
It's not tax asking.
that's right.
We didn't do it last year, we need to do it this year.
Check that out. I was gonna ask you where you think that should go.
It's gonna need redone right away, cause there's the back of it,
Yeah.
poking through the front of it.
Anyway, who?
What is it?
Well, so let's, it's a thing that, you know, the National Guard was in town yesterday and all day today. And they're trying to make a agreement, just basically saying we're gonna work together. Stuff, in emergency.
And county clerk got to meet the lieutenant governor,
Yeah,
and I got a picture with him.
yeah. So,
You know, where you're. Yeah, I gotta have them back, please. If you want copy, I did PDF them all. Would you like the PDFs? Can I do that? Okay, yeah, I would be glad to send that to you. Except it has credit card numbers. Charlie?
I can just see it.
Yeah,
I'm-
that's fine.
I'm
Did you get
still,
my answer?
Unless I put them on your computer I can give them to you on a flash drive. How's that? And you can look.
Yeah.
That would be, I feel better about that.
What are you thinking,
oh,
Chairman?
Dollar amount? I mean, you're gonna need roads here. Everybody
Well-
has good asks. It's just we can't support them all.
Can we look at your front page, or, you know, where the whole budget is, where you do the
is that other page,
levy
Yeah.
and the total?
oh, that one,
This one?
This thing?
Yeah,
that one where you had the,
You show me where we were last year.
Let's say, are you wanting numbers like down here or where we were last year? I'm gonna be honest, you guys, we've done my spreadsheet so many times that my numbers are off by about 500-600,000. We're like 14.7, and this is where we are now. And I know that says 14.1, and I gotta go figure out why. I don't know why my number changed.
But it should be 14.7,
I believe it's 14.7.
and then with the hold on, stay on the screen, stay on the screen. for a second.
Well, give me just 2 seconds to look at something, Charlie, if you don't mind. Oh, maybe I'm fine. It was 14,181. Okay, never mind.
I need to see.
There you go. About 40,000.
So that 14.7, or the 14.1 should be 14.7.
Yeah, it should be 14,181. So I'm only like 40,000,
Okay.
not 700.
14,181?
Yeah, that's what the other okay?
And then the 18.9 is that's based on what people have requested.
Yes, and me bumping up reserves. So your reserve last year, we cut this down to 2,481,000. I put it back up to 2,860,000. And the bond fund we knocked it down to $250,000 reserve, and I bumped it up to 500,000. There's some changes in the reserves that's also in that, okay? And what people turned in.
Okay. Why do we need to bump the bond reserve? Why do we need to increase that? Because the bond payments should be,
It should be,
Set, right?
yeah, they are. Because I pay the big bill is like in December, January, it's in January. I'm sorry, I don't even know why I said that. I was thinking the big payment, like usually around $1 million, which it's gonna be a little less this year. We always ran out of money in the fund, and we had to borrow from inheritance or whatever for 2-3 months until we had that money to support it. And just was trying to get some more in there, so we didn't always have to borrow.
but it's essentially a fixed cost.
It is a fixed cost.
For how much longer?
2034, 2037, something like that. But I mean, we're gonna be paying off chunks as we go. Charlie, do you want my spreadsheet?
No, because I need you to walk me through it.
I'm I'm sorry, that wasn't anything to laugh at you guys.
No,
Yeah, I get you.
I understand. No, I just, I would just have to write down questions.
Yeah,
So-
right now, levy without the bond, I'm sitting at 0.435, and the bond portion's 0.03, with everything thrown at it right now, where, go back, I'm gonna go back down here, what was last year? 0.367 and 0.03. Obviously, we can't raise our levy, well, we could raise our levy up to that, I suppose. We'd have to still cut a little bit, but we could, but we can't, because we're capped.
So what's that over there to the right of that? You have 0.346?
Now, let's see what I was doing. I think I was looking at last year's levy. Just me,
copy and paste it or something?
yeah, is that what that number is right there? You're sitting closer.
346,995.
Is it? So it must have been something like that. And that's where when I share my spreadsheets, that gets confusing because I put things in cells all around to look at next year. I mean, look at for my own reference.
So I understand you put $500,000 more into the levy,
Into the bond. I
or
put
I'm sorry, into the bond fund,
250,000 more.
200.
You
Okay,
said 500.
plus 500.
Well, total 500, so I put another 250, sorry. I knocked it down to 250, I pumped it back up to
Okay.
500. I can take it back out, cause yes, it is a,
No, let's just hold it for now. I just wanted to kind of bring attention to some of these things. So if we go to, if we go to last year's levy, 3.4644, how much revenue can we generate with that?
how much what now?
If we, do we have his preliminary levy in here, right?
His-
Preliminary values?
Right
No.
here, yes.
I thought you used last year's, cause he doesn't have them set yet.
I took last year's number and added 200 million to it. He told me that would be a safe number. He thinks it'll be higher. I used that number.
Okay.
Last year's number is 3,859,000,000,
Yeah?
blah, blah, blah.
Did
And
anybody have the commissioner letter at their desk from protest?
And-
So if we put the levy as 3.4644, and we put the bond levy where it was last year, how much revenue can we generate?
Oh, God. Okay, if we put the levy, say that one more time. If
Let's take the new valuation
Okay,
and let's apply last year's levies to it. How much money can we raise
it should be
if we do
even
that?
if I put that with last year's numbers. Hold on. Let me see if my other spreadsheet. I haven't been messing with that kind of stuff.
I just found it. Okay, thank you.
This is where I can play with that.
Whenever you do.
So. This minus this, sorry, Charlie, I have to get heady in my mind.
That's okay.
If I would do, to make that, so you want, that would, 17 million. What if I do 15? Yeah, no. Getting closer. No, it isn't. It's too much. One zero off. $3.6, so it'd have to be lower than that.
But what
Is
he
that what
told
you're
us
kinda
the other
asking me,
night
see what it generates that?
Oh, so we would have to generate less than 15 million?
Yeah. So if I went 14,750, and I think
And that would be a conservative.
the cap, and I put too damn many.
That's what she's referring to, but I think, remember,
Am I still too many?
Here we go. That's good.
I'm sorry, golly,
So,
I'm getting closer. Let me show you something else, Charlie, or maybe.
Okay.
This is from the APA work papers that we can, that were calculated calculating the cap, and this is what I was saying, I'm gonna talk to Candace tomorrow.
Yeah, and this
Oh.
one is this is a real critical part of our whole equation.
And I have to put our property tax request, I put 14,178,695 based on my cover sheet of
Thanks,
my
guys.
bond, of my budget.
Thanks for coming, guys.
This, hey, thank you. This is what the APA number was. I mean, it's only a couple $1,000s different, right?
Yeah.
And what I can apply to that is this growth percentage, right? So this I don't have yet. This is, I plugged in last year's growth number into this year, last year's valuation, because that's what I have to put here. I come up with a 0.25, so that's, last year was 2% plus the growth value was what we could increase and stay out of the peak postcard. This year, it was probably either gonna be 2% plus a growth, or they have an inflation percentage going on. That's what this number was given to us. We can increase by 5.1%, 17%, which is 733,000 based on my last year property taxes levied. And then we had that gross percentage above. Like I said, I don't have the gross value yet. We used last year's. Then there's these exceptions we can apply. Maybe. But we don't want to. We're warned not to do it unless you're really in dire straits, to put in your county attorney budget, to put in your public defender, or maybe your sheriff department budgets. They said you can do it, but next year you're gonna have to take it out of your calculation for how much you can tax ask. So but my question to Candace is right here. We had that lid calculation from last year, that the last few years when we said we can increase by 1% the restricted use funds, and whether you approve it or not, some years we did, some years we didn't. There's a portion of that we can bring forward, and it was like in the neighborhood of 708,000. But notes that I have say you can use that, but don't use it all. What if I say I wanted to use 500,000? So instead of just what I'm telling them the other day, 14,000,009, I might be able to go up as high as 15,000,004. But the numbers I plugged in based on the numbers I had done from everybody's budgets was 19 million. We're in violation. I can't do it. We have to bring our tax ask down. We have to figure out how we're gonna handle capital improvements and Keno money and inheritance. We had a good year in inheritance tax last year. And you know the story of inheritance.
Right.
I mean, I had Steve Baird tell me, they tell us at our highway superintendent meetings that we need to tap into the inheritance tax money. And I'm like, well, Steve, Scotts Bluff County taps into it every year for everything. We've never left a pool of money sitting there. Where other counties, I guess, have their inheritance taxes built up. So that's not really a great option for us. It's several 100,000, but it's not millions. And will it be there next year, but it might not be there. Anyway, this is the one.
Lisa, we just got that really large sum of money in inheritance tax.
Did we just get?
I don't know if we got it in our possession yet, but, well, we must have. It was on the revenue sheet. And so I'm just wondering, was that in last year's fiscal year or this fiscal year? I just seen it, you know.
From the packet of
Yeah.
Monday?
Well, I don't know if it was Mondays or the one before.
Was
maybe
it recently? Okay.
the one that showed you give us that sheet that shows revenue.
Yeah, I'm asking her to look at the packet.
Right.
She gets a copy of it with.
Those revenues are
Computer.
what, I'm referring to.
Okay.
And there
we
was a
can look at that.
large one I thought it was over 1 million.
Was there? Okay, last year, we brought in 1.5 million, and you can see where other years have been 827, 856, 788. Last year, we brought 1.5.
Okay.
There it is, right there. There's our.
If that, do you
Well,
think it
that
was
might be it.
do you
but-
think it was a couple months ago?
No, I think it was a month or two.
Isn't
yeah.
their packet online too, Kelly?
I was gonna say. Now that I'm thinking, it's on the website too.
So,
I mean, the inheritance tax essentially doubled.
There was a-
Cool.
I
Where
thought
did
there
that
was
money come
one.
from?
Oh, the name was kinda, it was too long to fit the space, and so I couldn't tell,
I'm sorry, that's kind of funny.
but, yeah.
Departments, commissioner, board meetings.
There, this one,
August
Well,
August 4th?
Monday's meeting.
I mean, let's just keep going backwards until we see it. Open the zip drive,
Okay.
go to remittances. Yeah, there, yeah, it's alphabetical, so. And Mark takes his packet home, so we can't see it.
No,
Right there, we're,
Research.
There's inheritance. Well, ins and outs, ins and outs. So that's not it, right?
okay, is all of inheritance in one spot? don't
I think
look
so.
at these
It
reports.
I think
be,
so.
it
But
would.
no, it was a,
So
you'll,
so we know it wasn't that.
it wasn't that one, so let's go to a different week,
And then, of course, I just, okay,
and then,
Go to the meeting before.
July 21.
Uh-oh. Remittances, right there.
337,000.
Yeah, check.
that's not it either.
That, there's still another one,
Well,
really?
that one's cut off. That, I
Oh.
thought, I feel like that's the one you asked me.
But she's talking, they want the total, right? That you're thinking about, guys.
Yeah, and I just thought it was, I don't know why, I thought it was $1 million.
Are you thinking the total for the year?
Let's go one more week, and then if you don't find it, then don't worry about it.
Pass it.
There it is.
Here.
Nope, it's not that either, so I may be dreaming.
Yeah, maybe you're
I may
thinking
have
of
to
the
go back
year.
further, but
And maybe
Well,
you're-
if the inheritance tax has increased by 50%, by 100%,
doubled, yeah,
it's doubled.
maybe.
There's opportunities for,
that year. I mean,
Right.
it's year by year,
so
so,
it's,
yeah.
it's an opportunity to do a project, it's an opportunity to do a one-time.
I moved stuff, though. We start the beginning of the year with 883,000. Because I moved it to fill other things last year. At the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, so that 1.53 million that's from
Mhm.
last year?
Went to general fund, went to, yeah, that's last year's money.
Can you freeze, I mean, like, from your headings, can you freeze the page so we can?
That would help, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Help me, where is it at, guys?
I
There it
don't
is.
know. Can't find anything anymore.
I didn't do it right, because then, of course, I took out some. But yeah, that was last year's money, and most of it got moved to general fund and detention center and comm center. I have to tell you what I did the last one. That's how we budgeted out. Most of it's supposed to go to general fund and capital.
So how did
Part of it went to
we,
200 to communication.
Yeah.
I know that much.
Budgeted, I think
I
it
know
went
that
a little
much.
different, because
So-
then Heather says I'm moving money too much.
inheritance tax revenue, that's basically, that's just a projection,
This is a projection. The
right? The
budget.
1.531 was an
It's
actual,
an actual.
and
Yeah, I transferred out 979,000 last year. Which 390 went to comm center. 500 went to general. Ish.
so those moves had to have, because what did we put in there for projection last year? Probably 700,000.
I'd move out about $1 million. Because I have to zero out.
I understand that, but if we're doing budget in August and we're projecting revenue of 700,000, then there's another 700+ thousand that got allocated and moved around without us going through the budget process. Right?
Yeah.
How does that sit with the guys here?
Well, what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I just seen 200,000 of it. It was in communications. And so it was through the budget process. Would that be true
Budget,
or not?
There's some more that goes out. I mean, you gotta keep, you also have a fund that went red this year. I mean,
I understand that, but let's not go down rabbit trails here.
Yeah.
We projected revenue of 700,000 last year.
Uh-huh.
And so during the budget process, during August of last year, we allocated that 700,000.
a million of it out.
So how did we allocate $1 million if we only projected 700,000?
We projected, because it started off the year with 300. I mean, we started off 300,000 in the bank.
Okay,
I mean, in the fund. Sorry,
no, that makes sense.
yeah, because
So,
you started,
so we started with 300, we projected revenue of 700, and so we were able to
play with the
play
million.
with $1 million.
Yeah.
But we ended up getting an additional 500,000.
So I start off this year with 800,000 in the fund right now. Projecting another
Okay.
700 to come in. So we do have a little bit of money in inheritance. And I guess that's where we come down to how we handle that.
Okay.
And
Okay,
some
that
of it
makes
has
sense.
gone to general, it usually goes to general, detention, or, I mean, and then capital improvements, and then capital improvements, yeah, that's how I did it this year, at 500,000, but it could go to capital improvements. I mean, this is an 883 into general, so I could take some out of capital improvements and put more into general to help some of these problems we're having now.
I don't think we need to do that now, but I have a better understanding of it.
So,
Because it'll be zero.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right, so, I'm a little concerned about progress, and we're planning on coming back tomorrow night, right?
Right.
4 o'clock, and, so, but, hopefully you'll have some answers out of NACO,
Yeah, that can,
and that could help us. And then we still talked about doing the commissioner's budget, which is a minimal deal in my opinion.
yeah, I have, just a second, let me
There's very
state one
little.
more time. I'm sorry, she's asked
Do
me.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yours
all
is pretty minimal.
Well,
What you
I
guys-
mean, we can do that, and then I don't care who else you bring in. If you wanna bring in roads, that's fine. We can
the
always do
elephant in the room.
roads first, if, you know, it's a Friday evening, and hopefully he'll be available to come in on.
Text him and see if he's available. He'll
Right.
say he
But
doesn't want.
whoever it is, doesn't matter, you can bring somebody else in.
I bet he's ready as he'll ever be.
Roads is always the big one.
It's really big. They wanna do some big things, and that's good.
Yeah, it's good, but
It's good stuff.
so we had,
Would that be enough for a Friday evening?
I bet it would be. We could do that in the commissioner's room.
I'm gonna have a bunch of
And if Steve's here at 4, we'll do his first.
blood and all that.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So-
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be enough, I think. Because
did
I
you
think,
say-
didn't Russ say that, was it the 7th and 8th that he had appointments and he had to leave early on both of them, I think?
Grandkid.
Yeah, something like that. I'm gonna leave this here tonight. That'd be fine,
Right here.
yeah, that'd be good. And then we just need to decide where,
Put it-
put it, whether it goes back here, or whatever. You know, it's
How,
about,
how often does this sort of thing happen?
Not very often.
Yeah.
So like right there on this wall could be a good place?
I think we could, and then I think maybe someday if you're trying to clear off some stuff, I think the only other logical office that I can think of would be, Rob Crowder's.
Yeah,
Cause really it's kinda has to do with
emergency management. more than
emergency
anything else.
management stuff.
Okay,
So it could go into his office if you
Yeah.
wanted to. Okay?
Okay.
Appreciate it.
what did you,
So,
oh, are we adjourned?
I'm getting ready to. All right,
I got 6:53.
all right, meeting's adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you. I wish we had it solved.
Yeah.
Favorite cats. Little kid,
Uh-huh.
it's like shoes, they'll get comfortable till they're wore out.